played so many 0-mana artifacts and expressive iteration.
And still played these like Mercktide-ish cards. Then if only there was like a combo finish with the deck.
Yeah, that would be great to dig towards too with expression.
Well, there's not, I guess, since nobody's playing a deck like that. So
all we have is Mercktide, I guess.
All we have is Mercktide. So players are going to be getting ready for this final round. We have a distinct plan here, Adrian, and the rest of the people listening. We will be checking out Happy Sandwich, who is a Hammer aficionado, top 8 so many modern challenges. It's truly a Hammer end boss. And I love their list. It looks really good. Up against the other undefeated Mercktide player. And then our backup match will, of course, be Kane Reinhardt fighting for his life, trying to get the 3-0 with Breach, and trying to unlock a Pioneer deck, which I bet Kane is at an elevating scale of how much he likes his deck. You know, like Legacy, clearly not liking it a lot. Breach, good deck. But Lotus Field for Kane is got to be the deck that he is most comfortable with.
Yeah, definitely the deck that he's been playing the most of recently, having a lot of success with it. So I imagine he would be very excited if he could get the 3-0 with Breach and get into Pioneer and try to make finish out this rally with a deck that he just has so much experience and comfort with.
Absolutely. So while we get ready, let's take a look at some of these players to watch. We started it off right now. Let's see if any of our other true greeners are doing well. But yeah, we might not have that available right now. I put Adrian on the spot. He was not ready. He was the "this is fine" person, just with things on fire everywhere. I was like, please don't push me to that right now. So, all right, how about this? We are going to be doing our last round of Modern, so let's get ahead of ourselves a little bit and check out that Pioneer metagame one more time to give people a little picture of what they're going to be seeing here in the next couple of rounds. And all right, we're starting it off. We got Rakdos mid-range here. Up top, the most popular deck. Then Izzet Phoenix. Nykthos ramp, that's mono green, maybe some variations as well. Gruel vehicles, hidden strings, and the rest 2 of or lower. What do you make of this metagame?
We talked about this a little bit earlier, and I said then the surprising thing to me is how much Izzet Phoenix we're seeing. That's a deck that at recent RCs and other major Pioneer events was maybe the 5th, 6th, 7th the most popular deck in the field. It really dropped off from its height a month ago.
Yeah.
And it dropped off in large part due to an increase in the presence of Rakdos midrange. And here we see Rakdos midrange still at a high presence, 31% of the field, 14 copies. Izzet Phoenix right behind it is our second most played deck. That I think is not going to bode well for our Izzet Phoenix players. That is not a matchup that is particularly good from the Phoenix side. It is very winnable. But it is definitely not the one that you want to play against round in and round out.
Yeah.
The other thing is I think this is a good metagame for Gruel vehicles. That's a deck that likes to see more Rakdos and likes to see less green. And that's what we're seeing here. Only 6 copies of green, 13% of the field. So Gruel can take advantage of the decline in that deck and munch on all these Rakdos players with their big boats.
With their big old boats, absolutely. Yeah, and it's kind of interesting to me because you were a Izzet Phoenix player as well, like even Philly and stuff, right? Like, it's weird that I don't play a lot of Rakdos or Izzet, so I don't truly know the advantage there, but it truly doesn't seem like it should be that bad of a matchup for Izzet. Just with whenever you top deck Treasure Cruise late game, you just win the game on the spot. I feel,
yeah, they just have enough
tricky
hate, and the key from the Rakdos side is actually applying pressure because you want to prevent that from happening. The top deck cruise, so I do see some Rakdos players play that matchup really slow and board out some creatures. That is how I like to see them play it against me when I'm playing Phoenix. I don't want to see them play turn 2 Blood Tithe Harvester, turn 3 Graveyard Trespasser, and turn 4 Shieldred.
Or even turn to the new edition that I'm starting to see a lot more of, and this was kind of in response to Eli Loveman's list that he top-aided RRC with, and that is just Misery Shadow. A lot more decks are starting to play a lot more of those cards in high numbers, and that also is one of the cards that shifts the Nykthos ramp decks in favor. When you can just Dreadbore Cavaliers and Old Girl Trolls, it's like, oh, come on, you're supposed to have Extinction Event for that. And that should be the only way. But
that's a card that has definitely shifted those percentages a little bit. I think that's why we've seen the metagame change the way we have since that card was introduced, Rakdos mid-range now no longer quite as bad against mono green.
Yeah.
And so we see, what's the point of playing mono green if I'm not going to dumpster all these Rakdos players?
Yeah.
And with the Rakdos players are thinking, well, if I can beat mono green reasonably, I'm pretty good against the rest of the field. I'm just playing Rakdos, and other people are starting to pick it up. So
it is starting to look at that point. Like if I was jumping into a Pioneer tournament right now, I might just go to the dark side. Usually I've kind of backed away, even though I love that style of Magic like Rakdos mid-range. I kind of back away, but all right, sounds like our match is up. Round number 6 action coming at you.
Last round of Modern here. Looks like Happy Sandwich on the play and goes for the turn 1 Saga.
All right.
That's aggressive.
That is aggressive. That leads me to believe that there is going to be a turn 2, creature plus the enchantment. I don't know why it's escaping me already.
Sigarda's Aid.
Sigarda's Aid, yeah.
I could also see just play land in a 0-drop, and where they're trying to hide the 0-drop away from removal. And that's what we see in the hand. Inkmoth Nexus, Ornithopter back for Happy Sandwich. Could have played the Ornithopter last turn and cast either Steel Shaper's Gift or Colossus Hammer.
Yeah.
But much more important for them to start making constructs here on turn 2, because they have Pure Steel Paladin, which they'll cast later in the game. So they've got time to cast those equipment later and equip them with Pure Steel. But for now, the plan is constructs. And that means don't expose that Ornithopter to a Lightning Bolt or Unholy Heat.
Yeah, good move. Good move. I like this. And you had the Hollowed Fountain top deck, so you could have went, Ornithopter, Hollowed Fountain, play Paladin, go for that. But, decides to just get the value off the Saga. And game 1 against Mercktide, I mean, when I'm talking about, once again, the holy grail of Modern, Jeskai Breach, I want to just Saga them to death game 1. That's my plan against Mercktide, and I feel great about it. Then if I play against the Mercktide decks that have the main deck dressed down, I just concede the whole match, and I just be on my way. But, most of the time, that is a sideboard card that comes up. So these Sagas can really get out of hand. And even if Urza's Saga is just make 2 constructs and it eats up 2 Unholy Heats, that's great.
Yeah.
Then it's a 3 for 1,
If any of them live, it's going to generate a bunch of extra artifacts on the battlefield. That means you can, cast some hammers, cast Pure Steel Paladin, and immediately start equipping and get around their removal that way. And honestly, this looks like a hand that matches up great against what we're seeing from Anson's hand, which is a lot of removal and card advantage.
Yeah.
All burn spells, lands, and expressive iterations. This is a hand that generates a lot of card advantage itself with the Pure Steel Paladin, with Urza Saga, and is going to stress all of this removal, stress their mana if they ever want to tap out for an iteration.
The one thing I would love here is just snap bolt that right now, because you don't get the second Saga now. So this is pretty good, So, this is pretty good. That bolt just now took care of 2 constructs. You have a bolt now in response to whatever goes on. You can probably bolt that Paladin and then start casting expressive iterations. So, I actually a big fan of, the possibility for Anson here. We'll see. This will be an interesting one.
Yeah, let's see if they go. So getting the Ginger Brute off of the Saga means that they can go for a Pure Steel Paladin and an equip.
Oh.
And if the Lightning Bolt comes off on the Ginger Brute here, that's still possible. We can float a white, play Paladin, then animate Nexus as the last artifact.
Okay. So yeah, it's just trying to equip. You're not attacking, connecting any damage here.
No.
But you have to, if you're the hammer player, you just try to equip on Ginger Brute, right?
And if they bolt in response,
then you put it back to.
Then you animate Nexus and then move the hammer to the Paladin.
Yep.
And so, no.
Happy Sandwich did this quickly, too. It's like, this is exactly what I do in this situation. I've seen it 100 times,
Yeah. And this is a draw where Anson on the draw had turn 1 interaction, turn 2 double interaction. There's still going to be a hammered creature on the other side of the battlefield.
I love that. And I don't know specifically how the matchups goes for Hammer, but from the Mercktide side, because once again, no secret here, I have been playing Jeskai Breach specifically only, for the last 2 sets. So I know a lot of matchups that compare to Breach. And in that scenario, I love to play against Hammer. I hate to play against Mercktide. But I think if Hammer is doing so well in the metagame, I would assume it has a good Mercktide matchup. Otherwise, if it doesn't, and it's losing to Breach, it's losing to this, what's it beating kind of thing,
Yeah, I think this is the kind of deck that never has matchups that are too bad.
Yeah.
It has these really strong openings. So even in a matchup like Mercktide you look at Mercktide and you say, oh, I've got a lot of cheap interaction. Sometimes it's not good enough. There's just 3 pieces of cheap interaction. And now you got to make a decision here. Do I let the Ginger Brew get equipped and kill the Paladin and then try to find a way to deal with this 11/11? Or do I just deal with that and try to find a way to deal with the Paladin? The 11/11 is much harder to block.
Yeah.
Because of that activated ability.
Well, the thing is, it's either deal with an 11/11 that's impossible to block, or try to deal with a 12/12 that's easy to block, but impossible to kill.
Yeah.
You know?
And if I'm looking at the deck list, I think you've got to deal with the Pure Steel Paladin. Because your out here is 1 main deck copy of Brazen Borrower. We can petty theft the Ginger Brute, leave that Colossus Hammer stranded, and then try to get something going from there. But if you leave them with the Pure Steel Paladin, then they're going to be able to re-equip.
Yeah, it's the classic Brazen Borrower for the bad matchup scenario, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so deals with the Paladin. Interesting that Happy Sandwich switched it over. Really thinking like, okay, if they didn't kill the Ginger Brute now, they don't have it. I'll move it back to the creature that I would rather have. Turns out they did have it. Happy Sandwich is probably like, okay, weird, but
well, there's 2 scenarios. Like, if they have it or they don't have it, and if they don't have it, you'd rather have it on the Paladin so they can't top deck a removal spell and deal with Paladin. But if they do have it, have to go for the Ginger Brute because otherwise everything gets blown up. And so you do it on the Ginger Brute first, but then you do the check of, oh, did you actually, have it? I'm going to move over to the Paladin and make sure and have them show me. So yeah, just a very heads up play here from Happy Sandwich, and nothing going off of that first expressive iteration from Anson. Just a couple of Esper Sentinels coming here, and now those Esper Sentinels are probably going to draw 2 cards because you've got to try to iteration into Petty Theft or you die.
Yeah, and I think exactly, found nothing because you put a Misty Rainforest to exile, and I think you put one to hand too. So it must have just been 3 lands.
Yeah,
probably just going to pack it up, even with a Petty Theft here. The 3/1/1s is probably going to be enough,
Yeah.
So really kind of all brutal. Be like, yeah, you got it. Have your card. Okay. Oh, I hate that card.
So do I.
I hate Esper Sentinel with every bean fiber in my body. That's how Hammer beats me. Those are the games they beat me. Esper Sentinel on the play. I have to play into it. Like, I have truly learned pretty effectively how to play around Sentinel with Breach. Like when I'm on the draw, they play Sentinel. I'm almost always Regivan go, and then like the next turn, removal. If I can clear the way for Regivan, the game is probably pretty trivial. If not, it's a hard game, but
we saw Pure Steel Paladin come up there from those Sentinels. So even with a Petty Theft there, that was not going to be enough.
Yeah.
So we move on to sideboards, and I see a sideboard that is filled with some very good options for Anson here. 2 copies of Engineered Explosives, gotten a Braid, has a Dress Down, which is a great way to clear up Saga tokens. Blood Moon can be very effective in this matchup, shutting off Inkmoth Nexus and Urza Saga. Also, a new card that a lot of these lists are playing, 1 copy of Brotherhood's End.
Ooh!
Sweep away creatures, or you can sweep away a bunch of hammers and drums.
Yeah. Holy crap. That is a hateful sideboard for Hammer.
And there's a Fury.
Yeah. You know what we were saying earlier when there's like not that many cards for a matchup? You probably assume that it's a good matchup. That screams, this is not a good matchup. I want to be more prepared. Of course, you're still playing a deck with Regivan, counter spells, and spot removal, so you can take over any game at any point. But
this could potentially be a full swap. There's 8 counter spells in the main deck between 4.
You got to take out counter spells.
An Archmage's Charm, a Spell Snare, and 2 Spell Pierce. Those 8 cards could come out for just 8 better interactive cards. Maybe you want to trim some threats to leave in like the Archmage's Charm because it can be a hard counter or an interactive card.
Yeah. And like Shredder and DRC are both pretty medium in this matchup too.
Maybe you like Spell Snare as a way to counter, Stoneforge Mystic.
Oh wait, there's only 1 Archmage's Charm. I thought that was a higher number. I was like, do you keep that? Because like counter spells, ideally not that great. But if you can steal an Esper Sentinel that's strapped up with a hammer or something, that could be good. But who knows? We are underway here. Reminder, everyone, Anson was our reanimator hero we saw a little bit earlier that managed to get it done.
And there's the big sideboard card from Happy Sandwich's side. Sanctifier and Vec can disrupt some Delirium stuff, obviously, with the graveyard. But more importantly, it's just a pro-red creature that you can try to equip.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Can't get bolted, can't get heated. That is really important as you see 3 copies of those cards in Anson's opening hand here. Very similar hand to what they had in game 1, but this time they're on the play, and I think that makes a huge difference.
That being said, this expressive iteration has to wait till turn 3. You have to get your max amount of value, and you got to find land and threats.
This is also just a really good hand from Happy Sandwich. Turn 1 Sigarda's Aid, turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic. We can go turn 3 Sanctifier and immediately.
We don't have double white yet. There's the big problem.
Okay.
So that's the hole in the hand that could lead to some horrible awkwardness. But if we get our way out of that, that's great. Sanctifier in back, that does help to the problems. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, a little bit of an awkward mana base with so many colorless sands. Ooh, that's a spell snare. That could be huge against the Sanctifier, though we do see a second copy now for Happy Sandwich.
Or even just for Stoneforge here is pretty huge. I mean, you're snapping this spell snare. Oh, not close.
Yeah, with the Sigarda's Aid in play, you don't know that they have a hammer in hand.
There's a nice little trick to spell snare. You look at your opponent's card and you ask yourself the question, does this cost 2? If it does, hit it. That card is so medium that if you get a target, you are just through the moon.
Yeah.
Spell snare used to be the blade, though. When Tarmogoyf was the card and Dark Confidant was the card. I remember decks that was like blue-white control decks with like 3 or 4 of them in the deck. That was
kind of Snapcaster in the mirror.
Yep.
Well, we see the iteration fired off on turn 3 here for Anson. Awkward draws from Happy Sandwiches. Just drawing a pile of double white cards with only the single white source available. So if
big draw step.
Yeah, if they don't find the white source soon, that could give Anson a lot of time to try to set up.
But on the other hand, if they do find it and they go Paladin go, then Anson's in that weird scenario. Do I try to aim it? Aim a removal spell? It'd be a train wreck. But basically what I'm saying is Happy Sandwich will always have 1 mana plus an instant speed hammer to protect it. So the game gets very blurry of players constantly have to leave up mana and stuff like that.
At this point, if I'm Anson, I need to find engineered explosives.
Okay.
That's your way to answer Sanctifiers, or you can just answer the hammers and aid.
Or Dress Down.
Yeah. Dress Down will work too.
Yeah, one of my favorite tricks, because I've included a lot of Dress Downs in Breach. And it's actually been pretty cool. As in, most of the time, the matchups where you want Saga tokens, you usually, or where you don't want Saga tokens, where your other game plan just going for the combo is more important, Dress Down's usually good. So there's a lot of scenarios where you can go your opponent's end step, Dress Down, untap, and then kill pesky cards like Sanctifier during your turn, and then Dress Down goes away. Nice little sweet play if Anson were to find it.
See what this iteration reveals. They're taking a long think about this one, so I imagine they have some options.
Options?
And, given how quick a game 1 was, has plenty of time on the clock to think about these key decisions in the other 2 games.
All right, we see Mercktide to the hand and DRC here. Okay. Oh, God. This can be a train wreck if Happy Sandwich top decks and untap white. Paladin, Hammer, Equip, go. I got a 12-12. These are the scenarios where you lose to Hammer when you get greedy like this. I'm not saying that's going to happen right now, but this game is basically over if Happy Sandwich top decks a white source. And if he doesn't, might be over in the other way because Anson's hand is great.
Yeah, this is key.
Oh man, here's the game.
Bauble could also find EE. Island is not an engineered explosives.
Oh, but no land. It looks like we just went to end step. Gotta be a brick, and Anson's got to be feeling pretty good about that risk.
Yeah, and
that's now the game is over.
Looks like 2 instants or sorceries. Awkwardly, though, both are necessary to maintain Delirium. There's instant sorcery, land, artifact.
Love it.
So you could potentially just play this as a 3/3 Mercktide.
Well, that would still shut off Delirium.
Well,
you have to take all the other cards. Leave yourself with just instant sorcery.
No, you can spend 4 mana and remove 1 Bauble and 2 lands.
Sure. Yeah,
we can do it just barely. But yeah, I don't think that is
I think you either shut down Delirium or you don't play it at all. You just fully shut it down, leave an artifact in there. One of the trickier to deal with things.
There's a Giver of Runes. I I mean, you're gonna have to kill this anyway. So you want your Mercktide to be cheaper. So I imagine a bolt will be coming here.
I mean, maybe you gotta recognize there's one mana available. You can flash in a hammer and equip it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but a bolt could come in, but maybe a heat actually comes in first.
Yeah.
So if the heat works, you'd rather just have the bolts in hand to finish them off.
Yeah. So heat's here, and it is delirious. So you do have to just cast the hammer if you're gonna cast it from Happy Sandwich. And yeah, I was like, at this point, you just have to, right?
Yeah. And now we get to bolt in response. Yeah. Surveil again. Fury was the first surveil, so that's going to add a 5th type and make it easier to delve this Mercktide region as well. And we've just added a bunch of instants.
Yeah, so now Merctide's going to come down. There's still going to be 1 bolt. So now it'll come to Happy Sandwich's turn. If you do draw white source, you could play Paladin, and then you can try to flash in Shadow Sphere to draw a card. Hope to draw land. Then you have 3 artifacts. You can strap it up. But that bolt is for sure going to break this game away. And we should be heading to game number 3 here.
Yeah, and there's a bauble that is going to further fill the graveyard. This is one of the weird instances where I probably would have fetched before playing that bauble in case I surveilled to the top.
Yeah. No, it's definitely interesting.
But not going to make a huge difference here. I think we can pretty easily play a 6/6 Mercktide while maintaining Delirium, and then with the bolt, everything will be lethal.
I like it.
I guess I can do it without even popping the Misty, so.
Yeah, and that's the one thing. The hammer decks do not play from behind. This is not a deck that plays from behind. You are always the aggressor in every match, because your deck is just so fast. It's so explosive. It doesn't really have that transitional element to it, which makes it not a complete S tier deck, to be honest. If it had some kind of pivot mechanism, it would just be the best deck because it's, plan A is so insane.
Yeah, sometimes you can steal games, often with Inkmoth Nexus, but that is definitely not going to happen here in the face of the bolt.
It's honestly kind of close, though, not super close. You still need a couple more things to go right, but with Sigardas and Relic right on time.
You can also just block with the Mercktide region there.
Yeah, that game looked like a complete and utter blowout. If one island or one plains came off Happy Sandwich's deck on turn 3 there, I don't think Anson would have a chance. Yeah, to be honest.
Their opening hand was excellent, and then their draws for the first 4 turns were about as bad as possible.
And Anson opened the door. Open the door to tap out. Expressive Iteration kind of trapped Anson there. Like, obviously, everything worked out, so this is not a punt by any means, but taking risks against Hammer is how you lose. Plain and simple, that is how you lose. If you don't take risks, most of the time, you can play very coy. Eventually, you find a threat and just hold up Disruption all the time, because every time, if you play it calm, when you go for a removal spell on one of their creatures, you get a natural 2-for-1. So you're just 2-for-1ing them over and over. Of course, there's scenarios where that's not true, but in the broad scope of thing,
that's where Urza Saga comes in.
Yes,
that's the one that forces you to interact with things that is generating card advantage for them.
Yes,
and no Urza Sagas that game. Stuck on lands, and
no dress downs from Anson either, too. So which is also big.
Yeah, won that game really without any of their major cyber cards. Like the Fury got milled by DRC. It didn't get cast in any way. So I think if you're for Anson's side, you got to be feeling good. We're going to game 3, and I have all of these great cards to draw to. EE, Fury, Brotherhoods, and hopefully those will carry me for one game, and I can lock up my spot in the second day of this tournament. Because this is our final round of Modern here, round 6. After this, we will be moving into the Pioneer portion of day 1. 3 more rounds today before we cut to everyone who is 6-3 or better. And then tomorrow, those players will be seeded into a double elimination bracket that is all Modern and Pioneer. Modern if you win, Pioneer if you lose.
Absolutely. And honestly, that's how it should be. You know what? If you stay a winner, you get to play the Gods format of Modern. And if not, you got to flip some coins and Pioneer in the losers bracket. Now, that being said, it does look like we'll see if our bracket is accurate when it comes to tomorrow. But it looks like our 1, 2, 3, and 4 will be essentially receiving a bye. So our top 4, similar to SCG events and stuff that been, I would say, playing, but you've been top 8ing all of them. Similar style where we do reward those top 4 players 5th place, though, too bad. You're playing.
So definitely much to play for towards the end of this day, even more than just making it to the second day, but trying to advance as far as you can. A little bit of a landlight hand here from Happy Sandwich. Decided to go for the Esper Sentinel first. Presumably, like, if they have the removal spell, then I get to draw an extra card.
Yeah.
So now we got the Sigarda's Aid down. That's also kind of interesting. I might have gone for Giver, but
yeah. Also, yeah, very interesting. I mean, Esper Sentinel, super annoying to play around here. So anything Anson plays, it will result in playing a card. But if Anson has Spell Pierce right now, it's definitely within Happy Sandwich's range to not play a land yet. So this might be a tempting thing. Sigarda's Aid makes the games pretty tough. And Happy Sandwich is like, please counter that. Please counter that. I have a second one. Yes, counter it. Doesn't. And now the jig is up. Anson knows I should play the game in such a way where I tax my opponent's mana. And I think step one of that means if I have a bolt, pay, go.
Yeah.
There is still a risk of that, though.
And another land is a great draw here. That's going to allow Stoneforge Mystic to enter. And now you've got mana up to pay to cast a Colossal Hammer.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. Or go for Giver. Yeah. Like, here's the squeeze that Hammer puts you in constantly.
Oh, was that is there a Spell Snare?
Well, sack that fetch first if it's Spell Snare.
Well, yeah.
To pay. Sometimes
to pay for Sentinel.
I've before hit like, okay, and they're like, would you like to pay? I'm like, well, you got a Misty Rainforest. That doesn't pay for it. I'm like, oh, dang it. Tapping the isle or tapping that would be weird. I mean, unless you're just auto.
Yeah, this feels like the Spell Snare again. Yes, that is huge.
Yes. And honestly, right now, Anson is just like shields down. We'll see if we can get that hands up to see what's actually going on. But like, please don't have a hammer. Please don't have a hammer. Doesn't.
And now, do we have the engineered explosives to end this game immediately?
Oh God, EE plus land.
Come on. Come on.
They're either celebrating doing backflips that they just drew this.
They're doing the breach dance.
Yeah. Oh, we'd have to sue Anson for copyright for that, of course.
But oh yes, we'll collect our royalty check.
Remind everyone we are in round 6 of 9. Nice, and we will be playing until we reach round number 9. Best records of 6 and 3 will advance. So this is a winning in. Straight winning in.
Loser, of course, still in very good shape to make the second day. Just needs to pick up 1 win in the Pioneer portion.
Oh, God. I thought the way that mana was tapped for a while, I thought we had it. All right. There is that getting out of there. And now, especially, if Anson has 1 more piece of removal, you got to be feeling excellent. Oh, my God. Best possible off the top.
That's a good draw.
That was the best possible, for sure.
Now we get to use the Stoneforge to tap the drum to play the hammer that the Stoneforge finds, leaving the Giver up to protect the Stoneforge in the house that Stoneforge built.
But that seems pretty complicated. That seems pretty easy right there. Now do you go for it, Ross?
I think so. With only 1 mana up, because I wouldn't want to pass and let them have either a counter spell or a second removal spell.
Yeah, same. I think I probably would have jammed too, but to be fair, if you just jam on Giver, it's much worse if they have their removal spell. I
would jam on Stoneforge. I would leave the Giver up.
Oh, okay.
Just to get it to an 11-12. You run afoul of engineered explosives, but EE is narrow to make Catalyst.
Mm-hmm. No, that's the play I like. I'd do it right now.
Yeah. Maybe there's a Brotherhood's End, but that's probably hitting creature, or that's probably hitting artifacts if you go first, but even that you can recover from still. You still got aid.
Yeah, I think Counterspell is a nightmare. You got to probably put your opponent on siding them out. But even Happy Sandwich thinking about this here, that shows how close of a line this is. I think I'm with you, though. I think tap that Stoneforge with the drum, flash and hammer, put it on Stoneforge. And they can't have a red piece of removal. They could have spells. Pierce, right? They already spell snared.
Yeah, spell snare wouldn't even counter hammer.
Yeah, I would have countered the mystic though, so they definitely don't have that.
They only have 1 in their deck.
Okay, well that makes it easier. Oh yeah, honestly, I love hammer isn't a deck that I actively try to play all the time. All the matches with hammer involved is awesome. I think I'd put a hammer on that one.
Well, they know you have the hammer, so now I'm worried, how are they baiting me?
Yeah. I don't know if I could not play into this bait though. Like,
yeah,
I mean, honestly, it's got to be EE, right?
yeah. I think it has to be.
It has to be. And they're just trying to get that hammer out and not equipped it to Stoneforge. Honestly, I think the next level play is just equipping it to Stoneforge anyways. Yep. Love it. Love it. Just be like, yep, you got it. Because now if they have it, at least, I mean, it's still kind of the exact same.
Yeah.
So maybe actually that's not even a next level play.
Is this Brotherhood's End?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
So in that case, Hammer just leveled himself by not just saving the giver. You would have just had another giver here for free. Not that that's huge right now. I mean, all of a sudden,
you draw any of your other hammers.
True, but I'm saying in this particular moment, it wouldn't do that much more, just attack. But man, all of a sudden, Anson just beautifully worked their way into a advantageous place with just a Smell Stare, just an Unholy Heat, Bolt, and a Brother's End. I mean, that sounds like it's a lot, like I'm saying with just these 4 cards, but it's not that much, But look at how much value was dealt with on Happy Sandwich's graveyard there with those minimal amount of spells. And that's what I'm talking about. If you can play your spells in the absolute correct way, you usually can beat Hammer, pretty effectively. It reminds me a lot of like Amulet. Amulet is really tough for not as great of players to beat, especially when Amulet used to be complicated with all those weird lines.
Yeah.
But if you knew how to beat it, the matchup actually was kind of trivial,
And here we see the perfect follow-up, interacted beautifully on the first few turns and now has the immediate clock. Mercktide, Regent, Ragavan, let's go.
Yeah, this match has been awesome. This match has been absolutely awesome. This tournament just has been great so far. Triple format tournaments are awesome. I've never played one personally. Have you?
Yes.
Indies or
players
champs used to be, right? Okay, gotcha. All right, so here comes Ragavan and Mercktide. And we're going to have a couple of turns here. But honestly, if there's no removal spell or something and we top deck a hammer, Happy Sandwich could still win this game.
Yeah.
But
that's if there's no interaction. And looks like there might not be.
Okay.
If we're tapping out for Shredder, there definitely isn't. Yeah, just another DRC in hand. Like we drew the iteration off of the Connive.
Okay, it's got to be hammer or it's got to be... No, it has to be just hammer.
Yeah.
Oh,
Stoneforge Mystic. Oh, yeah.
No, because you have to give it haste, kind of. 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Haste. 14,
and then you only have 13 next turn with a hammer, so...
And Expressive Iteration is probably going to find a second spell to connive once. That's all that needs to be done here. If we can find second spell off Expressive Iteration that we put to exile and put a non-land card in your hand, the game is over.
Yeah.
Or a Bolt, of course.
Bolt will do it.
Okay, Charm to hand. Now, if anything is castable in the exile, that's GG. And we also got information that they kept in Charm. There we go.
Bobble. Yep. So
well
this
played.
Charm gets discarded to one of the Connives, and that's an 11-point attack. So Anson going to be moving on to 6-0, our lone undefeated player left in the field.
Wow.
Swept Legacy, swept Modern, onto Pioneer with no pressure about making day 2. Now it's just about setting themselves up to get that round 1 bye in the double elimination bracket.
Yeah, and honestly, the only player that did double sweep, mathematically, that's the only one that's possible. And well-deserved. Reanimator being a deck that I sure as heck would not have, played or thought would have been like a great call. A nice metagame call. Looked pretty easy from Anson's side. And then we only saw one match here with this, but it was a doozy of a match. I gotta say, Anson played that phenomenally. Especially that third game. I thought that was really good. The second game, I think it was greedy. That DRC, I will not hide that. I think that was truly a small misplay that could have just ended terribly. There were situations where maybe I'm sure Anson thought in his head, do I need pressure here or do I not? And maybe the answer was yes, but he still opened the door and we had the perfect information that if there was a land picked up, Paladin equip it was going to be basically GG, but took the calculated risk, paid off, and advances to day 2.
Yes, and calculated risks,
But wait, I'm sorry, I gotta stop you. We got Kane here playing some Breach. I know that's much more important. We're gonna jump in to our hero watch here, staying alive with Underworld Breach.
We got our rally caps on.
All right.
That doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good, and Kane is also down a game. Stop! Cut the feed. He's already dead. No, I'm just kidding. But kind of.
Well, hold on. So yeah, we had white floating. So Slayer Stronghold is going to target that Titan, and the other one doesn't have summoning sickness. So we still have 2 more Titan triggers to deal with.
Yeah.
Not sure how many land drops. And this is Dom Harvey actually playing.
Yes.
Not sure how many land drops he has left. The Bog is already in place. It needs a land drop to be able to get a bounce land, return it to hand, and replay it to take care of Kane's graveyard. So without that, a breach is lethal.
But Kane's hand is prismatic ending in a land.
Yeah, but we've seen him top deck breach before, and there was only 1 left in his deck.
Yes. Yeah, because if you don't Bog here again, it is for sure lethal. Able to play Mox Amber over and over from your yard, and then to fairy bounce your own Thassa's Oracle and then replay it.
Dom does have 6 cards in his hand, so there could be some Force of Vigors, Endurances,
Oh, yeah.
Lots of options there.
Hey, you don't speak like that against our Underworld Breach hero.
There's a Force of Vigor already in the graveyard.
That got milled by Grinding Station.
Okay. Looks like the Bog did not go back to hand, so I don't think there was another land drop left.
Okay, that would make sense.
Notably, this is a 14-point attack, and Kane is at 12, so it needs to make a block here.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you want the Oracle in the graveyard anyways, so I think we just block with the Oracle. That's it. Call it good. Hope to top deck. I mean, this deck doesn't have any reach except Valakut, and honestly, if there's a Dryad or a Summoner's Pact in hand, probably gonna die anyways. I guess.
You would have to block with everything in order to not die to a Valakut trigger.
But also if Dom had that, Dom would have got a Vesuva copying a Valakut to guarantee lethal anyway. So you got to think that there's no Dryad or Summoner's Pact. You're just at the point when you're Sneaky Masato here that you can't play around it. Nope. A Wet Breeze will kill you. Here the only thing that is unfortunate about going to 1 is if you really needed that Flooded Strand, but pretty unlikely. All right, never mind. Let's we'll count this match as a fluke, and we'll just we'll get away from this match as fast as we possibly can, and we'll cry ourselves to sleep together. Me, you, and Kane. We'll all
hold me, please.
Yes. Yeah, with Relic here, there's no combo possibility because Thassa's Oracle is in the yard.
Oh yeah, because the Thoracle is there.
Yeah, because the Thoracle. Blocked, but the only other option was to block with Emery and Ragavan, and then it's still going to be just as brutal.
I was going to say, without the Thoracle in the graveyard, you could have Prismatic Ending the Relic, make them pop it, have Ripped Expressive Iteration, iterate into the perfects.
Yeah, I think this is going to be our hero falling. Dom's just going to be like, come on, guys. I literally know both of you. We are friends, and we're just hard cheering against him. Dom, we love you too now, and you're officially someone we're going for after you defeated.
But also, I will never forgive you.
Absolutely. Yes, 100%. All right. We got the Mox.
I don't care about this Mox Amber. Not sure what Kane drew for a turn, but I'm guessing it was not good.
All right. What kind of shatter effects have split second? That's what we need right now. Yeah, we need Crossing Grip out of Sneaky Masato's deck. We need green mana, but we can't take damage for it. And then we also need to have Breach.
Interesting.
Is Kane thinking, all right, what if I mill you? At 6 cards.
There's 20 in Dom's deck.
Okay. So if Dom accidentally Sphinx's Revs for 14, this game is over. Amulet lists are still playing Sphinx's Revelation, right? Give me something here, Roz. We need a miracle, okay? I need a Hail Mary.
Okay, well, if an asteroid hits Dom's house.
Don't you put that evil on Dom.
I think we drew a bauble for turns, so yeah, looks like Kane is just going for the hard milieu plan, which is not going to work.
All right. Okay. So I think we needed to top deck Icar Wellspring. Okay. Icar Wellspring so we can play it, sack it, draw a couple cards off of it, draw 2 more baubles.
Draw another Icar Wellspring.
Yeah. We need to chain off Icar Wellsprings.
Well, yeah, we could have drawn Icar Wellspring, played it, sacrificed it to Grinding Station, replayed it off Emery, drawn 4 baubles, and milled them out.
Okay, endurance. Not bad, not bad.
That would mill them for 21.
Yeah, they can endurance themselves.
Yeah, okay. Well, Dom had all the angles covered.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be ever able to forgive Dom after this travesty, but
he is now my mortal enemy.
Yes. All right. So Dom has the I'm not going to get milled plan on lock and has the you can't mill yourself plan unlocked. But what about Grinding Station? Target myself.
Okay. We'll hit the
research
Ox
test
of Agonis.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
All right, we got a bauble draw. We need Unholy Heat. Arid Mesa.
And Twin Cast.
Come on.
It's close enough.
Add breach down. Well, a moment of silence for our fallen comrade, I guess. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for round number 6. Now that we can slightly get over our depression that the only breach player has been defeated, still a valiant run, being 2-1.
Yeah, really just unlucky in that last match. You know, we saw the entire match. We saw how poorly they drew in games 1 and 2 to even, be in that position. So,
yeah,
just unfortunate for Kane there.
Yeah, just unlucky. There's no other explanation, and we're sticking to it. We write the story here, okay? So, all right, everyone, we're going to take ourselves a short break, but then put your Pioneer caps on because we're going to go to round 7 out of 9 and the remainder of the day. And the matches that will matter the most for basically everybody but Anson are ahead of us. So let's see Pioneer decks people brought. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back to coverage here of the Mana Trader series. Kind of getting to the back end here now. I'm Corey Baumeister. That's Ross Merriam. We're going to be bringing you the end of the day here, as well as Adrian on the back end here directing the show. Just a 3-man ship here.
Stop saying on the back end.
Yeah.
There's only so many times I can resist. Gotta stop.
I mean, that's an expression. They're on the back end of the camera. They're behind the camera.
Yeah, it's your favorite end to be on.
Wow. So we got pairings coming up right now. So we are going to be checking that out soon. But let's check out some of our players to watch as we haven't checked in on them in a while. And let's see what some of our big names are doing here so far. Honestly, it's a curse. Every time we put our players to watch, it's like it is a death sentence for all these players. I don't know if I've ever seen like one of the players to watch be like a 5-1 or higher at this point. So, all right, some of the people that are still in it, Salvato, Andy, both eliminated. As well as Mogged, and we just saw, unfortunately, Sneaky Masato get unlucky there with Breach. But we got Nathan B up with 4-2, doing pretty well, coming in with Rakdos mid-range, as well as, that was our only 4-2.
Yeah, I got some 3-3s trying to put their rally caps on in Pioneer with Lavunga, Batatinia, and Danielakos.
Yep.
Lavunga staying with Rakdos Sacrifice. That's a deck that they have played in a lot of different formats to a lot of success. So be interesting to see if they can put together a run playing a deck that, a lot of players aren't as used to playing against, but all the time we've watched Lavunga play Rakdos Sacrifice. They play it beautifully, like masterpiece-wise. So it's kind of the thing in Pioneer for me. If you have a deck that's that big of a pet deck, even though some people think Rakdos Sac just like isn't that great or whatever, or has an extremely bad matchup against Mono Green, there's a lot of narratives around Rakdos Sacrifice. And it doesn't really matter if you play the deck at a higher efficiency than, 99.5% of players. Just play that deck in Pioneer. That's just what Pioneer comes down to me. If you have a deck that you that much favor, just do it. Because, like, every deck can win a tournament days in Pioneer. It's one of the most wide open, deck selection in a format that I've seen in a while. And if you're looking at, where Lavunga stands in the metagame with Rakdos Sacrifice, there's only 6 copies of Mono Green Devotion in this tournament.
Yeah.
And I see 2 of them on this board at 2 and 4, no longer in the tournament. So.
Exactly. And honestly, I don't even think it's that bad of a matchup. I've played it from the other side, and I think like I feel favored, but it's not like outrageous. You know, they still have like very dangerous things. You know, Mayhem Devil can still blow you out, claiming your old growth trolls and then sacrificing them so you don't get to put them on your lands and stuff. Like, there's plenty of things that the sacrifice deck does to it. So.
Yeah, there is some game there. So that'll be an interesting one to watch. As of right now, we remark about not having many people at 500 or better on this leaderboard, but there aren't many people at 500 or better in the tournament.
Yeah.
At this point, only 4 5-1s, the 1-6-0 that we saw last round in Anson 95. The person he defeated, of course, Happy Sandwich, 5-1. And then we've got Skirnus McQuaz. You're gonna take a guess on pronouncing that one?
Yeah, okay.
Magic of Player 1, easier to pronounce.
I like that.
And,
I like that.
And Nakashima, who we watched earlier in the tournament. So not many people at the going into these rounds with a lot of leeway are players at 4 and 2 looking to go at least 2-1. The players at the top really just looking to avoid a disaster.
Yeah.
But also mainly trying to get into that top 4 so they have a bye in our double elimination bracket tomorrow.
Exactly. That is one thing, that these players are going to continue playing. There's other. All right, sounds like we have our match ready, so we're just going to jump into that. We're going to try to take a look at some of these 5-match players. Let's see what we got here. Happy Sandwich playing, I believe that's Gruel. That would make sense.
Yeah, and then we've got a Rakdos mid-range from Skirnus.
Yeah, we'll pull up these decks. These players are both at 5-1. So, and we got 2 hand cams. Look at us go. These players are playing win and ins. We just saw Happy Sandwich play a win and in, and now we're looking for another one. And you know what? Usually Rakdos is very, very good against creature strategies, but Gruel vehicles, it gets kind of awkward. It gets kind of difficult at times. A Crow and War that we see in Happy Sandwich's hand is a card that's not that good here. It's not really for, taking a Shieldred for a couple of turns. That's not really it. So we'll probably see those taken out. But like a Zega's Chariot, Boat's actually quite good against Rakdos. Yeah. There's a lot of sorcery speed removal and stuff. I think this is just a pretty close matchup.
Normally you would think, big Gruel creatures, I can just dreadboard them down and be fine.
Yeah.
But these are vehicles that generate a lot of value and aren't creatures in your turn for you to dreadboard, which just completely flips the normal script of the matchup.
Or creatures with haste that get value when they come in, like Reckless Stormseeker. You have lands that are attackers as well. So a lot of play to this matchup.
And looking at how the early turns have developed, a good amount of interaction from the Rakdos side, stopping the early mana production. There are some creatures left, but for a Sandwich to cast. But now Rakdos has some time to cast their own creature. Let's get this Trespasser down. Then we get a Bone Crusher Giant next turn.
Yeah.
This Power Word kill will deal with one of them. That can deal with the Beast. Then your creatures trade. And this is the way the Rakdos deck likes to play.
Definitely. 1-for-1 you into Oblivion, and Happy Sandwich would be preferring to strap hammers to something at this point in the game with air quotes hammer decks in both formats.
They've got Embercleave as their hammer in this format.
That's true. That's true.
Not going to come in this matchup.
Yeah, I suppose that is in the sideboard, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is not a list that we've seen play Giganta before. Notably SCG Philly was taken down by a Gruel deck. That beat us both, I think, multiple times for the weekend, right? Didn't you play that Gruel person as well? Oh, okay. Well, they beat me. But they were playing Giganta in the sideboard, and then no double, pips in the main, and then postboard transitioning to Embercleave, and that was kind of stock for a while. But we see Werewolf Pack Leader as a nice addition, because especially Pack Leader into Reckless Stormseeker, we saw that play patterns from Standard, and it's incredibly powerful.
Yeah, just a much more powerful card than Scavenging Ooze. Abzan Greasefang has dropped off a lot. Even things like Izzet Phoenix have dropped off a lot. So the Graveyard Hate from Skoos, much less necessary. Werewolf Pack Leader in this matchup survives Stomp, which is really important for a 2-mana play. And is just generally better in the aggro matchups as a beefier creature early. And so that they've made the transition over. Giganta, not a big enough draw to stay away from the.
I mean, this is going to be a beating here, right, Ross? Especially if we draw a land. Like, holy crap, was that risky to take a Crone War? Like, I think a Crone War is a good Magic card, but the nightmare scenario of drawing a land and being able to get in there for 9.
Yeah. Going for a Crone War and then not
9,
using the power word kill. Instead, playing a 2/2 that isn't going to really block effectively.
Yeah, I did not like that play. I think you had to keep power word kill to beginning of combat, take care of that, draw a card when you attack creatures.
We do get to kill one thing here with the double block, so that's what the Shadow set up. That's reasonable. There's no 1/1s on the other side, though. We do see an Elvish Mystic in Happy Sandwich's hand as the leftovers, so yeah, this is tough. And now with the land drawn, you really want, if you're the Rakdos side, you want to play one of these 3-drops, either the Bone Crusher in Exile or the Trespasser. And then next turn, if you draw a land, you can play the other one and the Power Word Kill.
Yeah.
But neither of them does a whole lot.
Yeah. The thing is, like, Elvish Mystic, it kind of on surface value is like, oh my god, what an amazing draw. Lovestruck can attack. Lair can already do that by itself. You tap itself in a land, make it a 1/1, get in there. And, Lovestruck Beast is probably almost assuredly going to get in there. I think if you're playing a 3-drop, it has to be Trespasser just to gain a life, to give yourself some wiggle room. But
they decide now they got to be able to
do it now, though, is interesting. I don't know a huge reason to just snap it off now.
And they would have definitely done it with this Chariot drawn.
Yeah, that's true.
So we're going to get in for 8. We're going to draw another card. We're going to play Chariot that generates more value. And yeah, this looks like a runaway for Happy Sandwich. No, we talked about this. There's 4 copies of the Gruel deck.
It's actually not called a runaway when you're playing Gruel vehicles. It's a burnout. Yeah, this was 100% a burnout here.
I thought you were going to say it was like a boat away or that you drive a boat, I guess is the verb.
Yeah.
Drive away.
No, I say funny, clever things instead. Yeah. You should try it sometime.
Yeah, easy first game here, and this is the matchup that Happy Sandwich wants. They want to play against Rakdos with this Gruel deck. We mentioned it when we went over the format earlier in the show. There's a lot of Rakdos. It's like 31%, I think, of the metagame. 4 people playing Gruel, and they will be happy to hit Rakdos every single round.
You think it's that good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you talked about the person who won the SCG in the elimination rounds. They played Rakdos every time.
Yeah, that's right. Top 8, top 4. And I think 2-0 every time, right? Yeah. And these are not grubs, I mean, it was Danny J in the finals, and then I can't remember the rest, but that whole top 8 was pretty good.
There's just not a lot you can do when your removal does not line up well against your opponent's threats.
Exactly. And it's just vehicles in general too. And like when all your removal spells are dealing with creatures as you cast them, excellent. But when they're like leaving around a 1/1 from Lovestruck Beast or killing a creature from Stomp or, a Chariot left 2 cats around, all those things add up very quickly and create some very tough situations to deal with. I mean, if I'm the Rakdos deck, I want to be trying to severely land on Shieldred. If it were up to me, I'd have 4 Shieldreds in my deck post board and just hope that I'm able to just go kill, and Shieldred takes over, because that's the kind of power you need. It's that, or back in the pre-Shieldred days, like Kalitas. That's how you caught up with these decks.
And neither of those really an option here with just the 3 Shieldred in the main, no more on the board, no Kalitas anywhere to be found.
Yeah.
The big ones in our Rakdos player sideboard, 1 copy of a Braid, and 2 copies of Pithing Needle to try to shut down these vehicles.
Sure. That seems bad.
Pithing Needle can also hit Lair.
Yeah. Those are both so situational and so medium that I wouldn't be shocked if they don't sideboard.
I think those are good enough. There isn't a Braid in the main, so we got 2. I like the Extinction events too, because it's mostly odds. So even then, I guess it's not that many odds. It's just Lovestruck Beast and Bone Crusher Giant.
And all the elves.
And Stormseeker.
And all the elves.
And the Mana Elves.
Yeah, so that's probably good enough. Especially if you're on the draw.
You could also bring in Duress. There's a couple Duresses that you can Duress away the boats, but how many discard spells do you want? And is it better than Thoughtseize?
Yeah.
Unclear. On the Gruel side, got a Clothis. That one seems pretty good, just because it's very hard to answer. A couple Hazarets seem good.
Yeah, get them in there.
We've got an Arlen. The Pack's Hope is just a reasonable Planeswalker.
I gotta stop you here, Ross. Look at Happy Sandwich's masterpiece of a hand. The only thing it's missing is that top deck Llanowar off the top, but that is just perfect. Pack Leader into Stormseeker or Clothis, depending on what they're holding up. into Cadillac, maybe give it haste if you have the Stormseeker. That's everything I would want more in a hand.
Yeah, this is a hand that is going to demand answers. Oh, Jesus.
That is not only just a happy sandwich, that's a happy moto player right there. Chef's kiss to you, happy sandwich.
This is getting... Oh, wow. And that ate in a braid?
Yeah, and here comes Werewolf Pack Leader. I mean, honestly, I agree with it. I agree with the braiding that, you know, but it's just the way it worked out. Final off the top was just incredible.
It was in a Crow and War. That's good.
Wow. Yeah, and Clothis maybe...
They do need land 4.
Yeah, or Clothis to find a card in a creature in the graveyard. Pretty much impossible to do outside of if Fable gets cast this turn and they discard a land. But other than that, no. I mean, now like playing Clothis is okay, but there's no way I'm not going Stormseeker, haste, attack, draw card.
Yeah.
Take 6 no matter what. Like giving them a treasure is kind of lame, but who cares? Because now you got another draw step at land 4, but you're doing it well. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Put them in the not care list.
Yes. No kidding.
Don't even have to check that list twice.
Wow. Yeah, this is everything I want to be doing in a deck, to be honest.
Well, there's another not land 4, but 4 mana spell.
Okay.
Could get a little awkward.
Yeah. It gets to some of the awkward scenarios, especially with our Rakdos player being able to go up to 5 mana here. You know, something like 2 removal spells. Great. Or 3-drop plus a timely removal spell. Cool. Thoughtseize is the one thing that didn't really matter. You know, Happy Sandwich's hand is just stocked unless they go to take... I think they have to take Clothis because it's unanswerable. And then just hope they break, you know.
Yeah. There's a Bankbuster that got discarded to the Fable. That's a 2 of in the sideboard. So they thought, I'm going to be more of a control deck. I'm going to bring in these Bankbusters. Could also be a reasonably sized creature to rumble. But under this much pressure so early from the early 1-2-3 curve, had to send that one away.
Yeah, Bankbuster seems like it's too slow. 100% on the draw, but on the play, it could be reasonable. Because that would be my plan too, is like removal spell on 1, Bankbuster on 2, probably removal spell on 3, and then maybe turn 4 draw, and then removal or something. But
this is indeed the takeoff of Thoughtseize.
I like that.
We'll see what the follow-up is here. A Shieldred would be good.
It'd be okay, but if that Crow War comes down, you get to take it, give it haste, and attack.
Let's not think about that. Let's not think about that.
Oh, I mean that would just be sweet, right?
Yeah. I think that would be game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a 10-point attack, and then you take 2, unless they have an instant speed removal spell for their own children.
For their own children, which would not be ideal.
But it might be your best way back in the game.
Yeah.
Looks like they're just holding up a removal spell.
Not bad. Or if they don't have a removal spell, they're dead. All right, let's see what we drew. Naturally, doesn't matter if Happy Sandwich draws a card. They want to drop a Chariot. That seems like an amazing play because you can also crew it and try to give it haste. Like even if it dies, sure.
You still have 2 wolves.
Yeah, you have 2. You have 2 cats. You have a werewolf. You know, you have
2 cats.
Yeah, and then you know you're pretty diversified-ish against Extinction Event. That's the one nice thing I do like about Pack Leader is it's a 2-drop. You know, there's not a lot of evens in the deck. You know, not that Extinction Event is the most played card or anything, but
probably the most played sweeper.
It's got to be. I think Languish is technically legal, but
it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see Languish in the sideboard of Lotus Field decks.
Gotcha. Yeah, but Mono Green's presence is the only reason for Extinction Event anyways, because that deck just amasses so many odds, and they're all odds.
Yeah. So,
deep in the tank here.
I'm guessing there's no 4th land here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, perfectly reasonable to just play a Pack Leader and try to give it haste.
Mm-hmm.
A little awkward that if they kill that, then you only get to attack for 5. You don't draw a card, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you play Pack Leader, they're just going to kill Seeker anyways. You know, so...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Seeker shuts down the draw effect anyways, so... Still, I'm with you. There's no reason to not just play it and hope for the best. All right, Happy Sandwich has disconnected. Well, that was our Rakdos players, one of their best outs to win this game. is a relog of some variety, but We'll wait a little bit to see if they're just relogging or something.
Happy Sandwich currently chanting, "Not like this, not like this."
Yes. Like, please, whatever internet service provider gods I can pray to, don't do me like this. All right, we'll see if
there are no gods when it comes to internet service providers.
Ain't that the truth? Holy cow! I've experienced enough of that in my life. So
there is only pain.
All right. Well, okay. Looks like we are probably back.
And they did go to topping round. And Cam,
we did top deck a land, so I'm wondering if the hand count. Yeah, there we go. Our player is back. All good. They just got so excited they top decked the land for Chariot that they like slammed their desk and be like, "Well, I'm on my way to day 2."
Yeah, kicked out the wrong wire.
Yeah, because here we go. This is the blade from these Gruel decks. Llanowar into Werewolf, into Reckless, into Chariot. If you don't have an answer for one of these, the game is over. Weird. Yeah, I was gonna say we still go for it, right?
Okay. Well, so we can power kill that, and now we can extinction event on even and clean up the tokens and the pack leader.
Okay. If they have it, of course.
Yeah. That will, of course, also deal with the Goblin Shaman tokens, so that can attack first and just net a treasure.
And then be like, Happy Sandwich, be like, hey, do you want to crew that Chariot and block?
Yeah.
It's free.
Yeah. This looks like a pretty clear extinction event.
Yeah.
I imagine Happy Sandwich, yeah.
Yeah, good call on Happy Sandwich's part. Not only absorbing the damage, but not losing the Chariot to this extinction event as well. All right, and a great catch-up mechanism from a Rakdos player. Fighting up against the Stone Cold Nuts has a chance here, you know?
And they are down to 2 cards in hand, though, staring down a pretty juiced hand from their opponent.
What are we playing for that much mana?
We're just a Chrome War Reflection.
One option they did have is Werewolf Pack Leader Lair for 1, attack for 4. Doesn't seem that great.
Yeah, I think we want to set up for like Werewolf Pack Leader, make a token of Pack Leader, crew Chariot, attack, make a Werewolf Pack Leader with Chariot.
Oh god. Oh god. Yeah, I like that line a little bit better.
Yeah, Reflection and Azika's Chariot start doing some dirty things.
Yeah, at this point, I think our Rakdos player would have been just praying that Reflection was an even drop at this point and be like, I'd rather none of us have it. And now, for anybody who doesn't know, the pure power of this deck comes with vehicles and the Akroan War. So most of the time, the Akroan War kind of sucks because you have to give the creatures back when it comes to Chapter 3. You see that each tap creature, when you untap, you draw, you go to Chapter 3, the creatures you stole are just going to go back, unless, of course, they can hop in a vehicle and then go back, and then they're tapped.
Then somehow they die, but the vehicle is still operational because they're all ghost cards.
Ghost cards, yes, exactly. We don't go into the lure of that, but we go into what the card does.
Why did you need to be crude? I guess they just needed to turn it on. Once it was turned on, you don't need a driver.
Push to start, leave the keys in the car.
Yeah.
I think what the kids do these days, they ghost their own vehicle. Have you seen those? They get out, they do some dances, they do some TikToking. They have some poggers with their friends.
Lockthwain activation? I think that was a Castle Lockthwain activation. Take 3.
Not bad.
4 mana, 3 life, draw card, go.
Yeah. Well, Happy Sandwich might be our second person booking their ticket into day 2 competition here.
Ooh, taking the risky line here, they could have just played second Chariot and guaranteed the crew a removal spell in response to the Reflection activation. Would have time walked that turn.
But how cool is this play?
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Riddle me that. I'll select this.
Have you ever seen a Azika's Chariot make a Werewolf Pack Leader?
Yeah. This is basically a Michael Jackson Thriller music video here with all these wolves dancing around.
And now, even if you can somehow clean up everything on this battlefield, there's a layer there that is easily waiting to deal the last 2 points.
Yep. I was going to say Extinction Event on even is actually sweet because then Reflection can't crew Chariot unless you fire up the layer, so you actually get it back, which actually would work. Like this would work and this would keep them alive. But yeah, the layer is just going to deal with it here. And Happy Sandwich, huge congrats to them locking it up. You know, after they lost round 6, they're like, okay, as long as the absolute train wreck scenario doesn't happen of me losing every round from here on out and Pioneer Gruel decks being very bad to him, gotta still make that day 2 and lock it up and have a chance for 10K.
Instead, the Gruel deck, very kind to him, very strong curve there in the second game, just rolled over his Rakdos opponent, locks up his spot early. Second player to make the second day of this tournament.
Congrats to Happy Sandwich. That Gruel deck truly looks impressive. Like every single time I watch it go, I mean, it wins big events. You look at the data from like Melee or something on these other events, and the win percentage is always that knocking on 60% door. And with Pioneer these days, there hasn't been too many like outlying numbers that have been like crazy pointing in one direction. That's what makes the format incredibly hard to solve. And that's why people were racking their brains for the RC. You know, I mean, this whole RC season, I don't think anybody except the Lotus Field players ever felt like they had a good deck for the tournament. You know, the Lotus Field players, they kind of solved it. They had 60+ win percentage. And, you know, most of them that played it did well because that deck was in low numbers as well. But outside of that, it was just, it's crapshoot.
Yeah, everyone else just playing their deck saying like, yeah, my deck's fine, but I gotta run kind of hot, whether it's getting the right matchups or running well in my couple of bad matchups to pick a few of those up. And that's how I'm getting my edge. In this case, this Gruel deck is so well positioned that I don't think you have to run that hot to get to get the good side of those matchups. Just run into the far and away most popular deck in the room, and you're going to be in good shape.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that's kind of surprising me, we're getting another match queued up here. See if we got any more going. We'll figure out if our director has anything in store for us. But the one deck that kind of surprises me that isn't, you know, more represented is the Mono White Humans deck. I think that deck is extremely good, but it just must be so frightening to play against Rakdos that, you know, they're scared off of it. But like,
I do think the Humans deck is quite good, but I agree that the Rakdos matchup is the roughest of the most played decks. So
even Phoenix probably is up pretty good against it too. Huh?
I would say Humans is actually favored. Thalia is tough for them. They just spin their wheels so much. You're able to take advantage. You know?
If you can't kill Thalia the turn they play it, it's probably
you're looking at pieces of the puzzle and you just get really sad.
Pieces of the puzzle for 4 mana. This card's barely good enough for 3.
So I think they're happy to play against Phoenix. They're very happy to play against green, but a decline in green and an increase in Rakdos definitely weakens the position of Humans players.
Yeah, I thought the green matchup was better than it was, and I must have just like had a pretty good streak against that deck because I was like I was winning more than I was losing against it, and then for whatever reason I just hit like I don't know. I came down to reality, I guess. I just lost like 5 in a row. I'm like, okay, this matchup's heinous. Not a fan. So looking at some of the leaderboards as we wait for a match to go, 2 people that are locked in, the only Anson and Happy Sandwich are the only one locked in so far, but sounds like we got ourselves a little match to jump into. We'll see where they're at. Got a couple bird players playing against each other. Let's check out this match.
Laying down the bird law.
Oh yeah, bird law. All right, Galdecott, no surprise there on Phoenix. Definitely one of the main people that play this. I would say it's Galdecott, Nathan Sawyer. They've basically been like always playing a good list of this to try to check it out. You know,
Daniel Akos as well, always on Izzet Phoenix.
Yes,
I see them in the challenge results a lot.
Yep, 100%. I always get Galdecott and Daniel confused because Galdecott's name is Daniel. You know, so like, I always mix those up, and they both win so often that I kind of think it's the same person, but.
I mean, I've never seen them in a room together.
That's true. Neither have I. Good point.
Looking at their list, pretty stock in the main deck for Galdecott. Does have 3 Spike Field, 3 Chart. Looks like they cut a land, and what else do they cut from the like normal stock lists?
I do see one thing that is definitely not stock on the battlefield right now, and I see a Narset's Reversal in the yard. So we might have had a wild scenario here a second ago. Because Narset's Reversal is a magic. Narset's Reversal hits Treasure Cruise, right? Like, you just bounce that to your hand.
Even better, it hits Temporal Trespass.
That's true. But it still does hit Treasure Cruise, and if they just delve their whole hand away, now instead I draw 3 and you have to redelve.
Yep.
Yeah. Narset's Reversal seems sick in the mirror.
This is very much a matchup about the delve spells.
Yes.
The mirror
100%.
And therefore pieces of the puzzle to enable the delve spells. So
Yes.
those are the cards that you're trying to focus on with your counter spells and defend with your counter spells, depending on which side you're on. Narset's Reversal is great at that.
I always picture the mirror match of decks like this or mono green, just like two friends that are like in the backyard and they both got their skateboards and they're like, all right, now check out my trick.
Yes.
And then after that, be like, okay, that was cool. But now check out my trick. And they're just each trying to level each other and just do slightly more busted things without truly interacting with each other that much.
That's basically how it goes. Whoever does the coolest trick wins.
Pretty much. That's always the same with mono green. And I love that aspect of it because just, felt like I understood what was important in the green matchups. And most of my players did as well, but some of them didn't. So you could kind of get them with certain card targets and stuff.
These players playing very similar lists. Looks like they only differ by a couple of cards. So gotta wonder if they work together at all for this, because they've made some deviations to the stock list, both trimming on lands. Okay. No copies of Stormcarved Coast that you usually see.
Oh, interesting.
Going up on a Spikefield Hazard, which helps your pieces of the puzzle find lands.
Sure. And just another spell that's also a land. Yeah.
Peak is playing a second thing in the Iceman. Gold Ducat has a third Chart, of course. That's the only difference.
Okay.
And then their sideboards, there's that extra thing in the ice in the main deck frees up a sideboard slot for Eek. So, they've got an extra card. Also have a couple copies of Saheeli that Gold Ducat does not have. So his decks are probably about 71 cards the same.
Sounds about right. So now we'll get back into this game. Here we are saying our what was it? Eekros, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Deciding on the turn what to do here. A bunch of temporal trespassing, treasure cruise as well. So, and then just a plethora of other cards. So it just comes down to the fact here. What do I want to use my delve cards on to start? And for me, with just temporal trespassing here, I don't see an amazing avenue, of like, I guess we do have a land. So no, you can't do that for 8. I was thinking, like, do you find some avenue where you can like play an Arclight, time walk, and then try to bring back a bunch of spells, but you just don't quite have the materials necessary? I think you have to start with Treasure Cruise here.
Well, you might want to start with Lightning Axe, Pitch Phoenix, kill yours, because that'll get you a 7th non-Phoenix card in the graveyard.
Okay.
And just kind of lets you be more mana efficient. Presumably, you want to bring back those Phoenixes this turn anyway.
Yeah.
You could also Spike Field their Phoenix first, so it exiles.
What about this? What if you go Spike Field, Lightning Axe, plus Temporal Trespass, and bring back 2 Phoenixes?
Yeah.
And then try to do something from that. The thing is, something from there, the next turn doesn't look stellar. It doesn't look like there's an auto win line.
So assuming this is turn 7, so presumably we can play that island.
Yeah.
Yep, there it is. We can go Spikefield, Lightning Axe, have 5 mana left. You only have to delve 6.
Okay.
So that'll leave 2 cards in the graveyard other than the Phoenixes when you after you trespass the first time. And then next turn you could potentially you're on 7 mana with 2 cards. You're still 2 mana short. So you couldn't I guess if you drew a land, you could then Lightning Axe, discard Cruise, and Trespass, but that's only if they play a creature.
This is also playing around, like, Galdecott has a mana open. Yeah. Presumably Dispute or Spell Pierce or both. So the fact that you play this first and you can pay for Spell Pierce, I actually like this line quite a bit. That's pretty cute. If they have Dispute, you shrug and you go Lightning Axe plus Spikefield Hazard on the Phoenix, probably both on it, just so it exiles.
Well, you would have been able to pay for Pierce if you just spiked and axed first, because you can just delve those 2 cards, right? So the 2 mana that you spent with those Spikefield Caves could have just been spent on Spikefield Hazard and Axe, but you also want, with 2 more delve spells at hand, you don't want to maximally delve here. You want to leave some spells so you can cast those later.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, is if you go take a turn here and then have like 4 cards in your yard and 2 Phoenixes attacking, you top deck like a Consider, and all of a sudden that might just be game. You Consider, bin it, maybe hit another cantrip, and then time walk again. Never know.
And this one, this Spell Pierce doesn't look great. The Spell Pierce doesn't really get that much better, because once the time walk resolves, you don't care that much about taking the opposing Phoenix off the battlefield.
Yeah.
So if they, Spell Pierce to the Axe or the Hazard, that's fine. You're still going to be able to discard the Phoenix to the Axe because it's part of the cost. Still going to be able to attack for 6 because you've played the spells. They don't have to resolve to count towards Arclight Phoenix. So you're going to get everything that you really want if this does not get Spell Pierced. And if it does, you pay her 2. and then just go to your next turn.
Yeah, and see what you can do.
Yeah.
Hey, bait 2, next turn you can start by destroying some stuff
Next
and
turn,
hope for the best.
next turn you probably just exile the Phoenix with Axe and Hazard, and then Treasure Cruise, and go from there. Because then you'll have what? I guess you'll have 2. You'll need to draw a land for that.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so does have the dispute. That's the hard counter for this.
Yes, that is the best possible one for Goldicott to have. So now we probably need to exile that Phoenix and put him under some pressure. Yeah, going for the Spikefield Hazard into Axe, discard my second Phoenix.
But now with Goldicott with an open hand, we'll see. It looks like we probably don't have the hand for Goldicott. Maybe we'll yell at him a little bit later, but we got some Phoenixes coming back. But you got to think that he's about to have a turn.
Yeah, there's also a Galvanic Iteration in the graveyard.
So,
we can't flash it back and cast Trespass. That's the most dangerous thing.
Cruise if you really want to draw 6, but that's, of course, good, but not amazing.
Already have a full grip. So.
Yeah. Usually wait till you're down to 4 cards, and then you can draw 6 and maybe discard the hand size a bit or something like that.
If we had an iteration in hand, we could cast that, go up to 7 cards, and then trespass from hand. So if the combo's in hand, we can time stretch. That might be good, especially with Hall on the battlefield. Though notably, E-Cross at 15, so 2 Hall attacks is not lethal.
It's kind of crazy because that's the same sound I make when you come into the room. E-Cross!
Setups for Shredder into charts, so continuing to dig and fill the graveyard. Okay. I wonder if we see land and then just a regular trespass here, that could be good. There's just a lot of ways this game could play out.
Yeah, and there's a lot of cards you bring in this matchup. I know you're pretty experienced when it comes to the birds coming back. Like, what do you take out in the Phoenix Mirrors? What should we not expect to see from these players?
Fiery Impulse is the most common card people cut.
Okay,
because it's hard for it to answer any of the creatures in the deck.
Yeah. That's a strike 1 on a removal spell. Doesn't kill creatures. Not great. Maybe we can also put that chat box up as well, Adrian, so we can see all the cards as well. Oh, it's a classic Moto thing every once in a while. Just like, doesn't show it sometimes. Nice. Actually, I think I might know what happens with that. When you come into a game mid-game, I don't think you can do it. I'm not sure, though. Classic Moto things. Also, if it's a leap year, when the sun is at exactly 95 degrees in the sky, don't sweat it. We're good.
Yeah, the important thing here is there is a second Lightning Axe in Ross's hand. That's going to be able to take out this Shredder and then probably just set up Cruise.
Yeah.
Though actually, we can just Axe into Trespass. So without a counterspell, that's lethal.
Okay. Or, of course, you have the option to just pay for Axe for 6.
Yeah, that would run afoul of a Spell Pierce or Dispute, because Goldicott does have 3 mana up to just cast it the hard way.
Either way you slice it, if Goldicott, didn't have some kind of interaction here or something good to do, would have played some spells. So, I mean, there's a nightmare scenario where Goldicott's hand is that bad, or he's just playing defensively until he has that turn where he completely destroys his opponent. And that's, I think, what we're seeing here. I've honestly watched Goldicott play a lot of Phoenix tournaments, like just either through streams that people have been playing against him. He doesn't stream himself, but people are playing against him kind of thing, and is always kind of playing this style. Very defensive, win.
And this is a very aggressive play, going for Shredder into Axe.
Yeah, and discarding Treasure Cruise.
Yeah, so they're going to go for the Trespass.
Oh, yeah, just going for lethal, huh?
Because this is, so they have 4 mana left, and this is only 6 cards in the graveyard, because they're going to connive 1, and then they're going to have the Axe go to the graveyard.
7,
8. Yeah, they're 1 short of trespassing here.
Maybe they're hoping that they kill a Shredder in response? Yeah, the math doesn't add up. But
Goldicott discards a Consider, so there's some goods in his hand.
Yeah, that takes away the mystery of Goldicott's hand being bad. I think we've solved this Scooby-Doo mystery here. That also signs that Goldicott's hand is strong. If you're just like value throwing around counter spells here,
No, this is going to be an easy pay.
Yeah, mostly because E-Cross can't cast anything at this point, you know?
Can't do anything else. Might as well do the one thing.
This was a weird turn.
Yeah.
These Phoenix mirrors do just get weird, though. They truly do. Post-board, they get very weird. Pre-board, there's a lot of dead cards. It's usually just who draws better. You know, there's not a ton of play game 1, but games 2, when you have Spell Pierce disputes and you have the tough dilemma of how many removal spells you leave in versus what you take out, they get very complicated and very skill intensive. But yeah.
And Pierce gets paid for. And
if this is another Pierce, this screams to me that Galdecat has it locked up next turn. Otherwise, I wouldn't think you do this, but I would imagine Galvanic, you know, trespassing kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's all Galdecat would need is land, Galvanic, Temporal, just those 3 cards. And after you're drawing this many cards, it's not that crazy to have those 3.
Agreed. So that would leave him with no hand. So this is really going to test some discipline. Now they both get to connive again.
Oh, I was going to say that's enough for trespass, but yeah, now you've had to tap the 2 mana down.
I had to have 4 mana down. We got 2 pierces. Yeah, I agree with you. This is
doesn't pay. Oh, mostly because it has 6 toughness now, I suppose.
Yeah.
But also, you could pay and then attack into it, unless you're that afraid at this point.
Yeah.
I think you're just that afraid.
I think it's wise to be afraid of a multiple time walk turn here.
Yeah. All right, here's an axe.
Pitches a chart, of course. Yeah, looks like Goldicot's hand was a gas.
Yeah, because right now, all you need is Galvanic from the graveyard plus 1 temporal trespassing. And yeah, I mean, this still runs, quote unquote, afoul of running into a possible Spell Pierce or a possible dispute, but you still get 1 of the turns.
Yeah, so, but you were going to run afoul anyway because it's a bird.
Oh, yes. Very nice. Very nice. Neither me nor Adrian are ever working with you ever again, but your fun has been acknowledged, okay?
Worth it.
Yeah, totally. I don't blame you. All right, Galdecat deciding what to discard. Discards pieces of puzzle. More signs that E-Cross is just so dead.
There's a Phoenix in the graveyard there, too.
So at least 1. Let's take a look at Gal's graveyard. There's at least 1 Phoenix. There might be 2. No, just 1. So, I mean, what does that other card have to be that you just discard a piece of the puzzle to? Like, does it just straight have to be another time walk? Like,
I mean, I just don't think it matters, right? Because 2 turns with the Hall is good enough.
Yeah, deck the Halls with 1 Phoenix.
You minimize.
You just Hall.
Yeah, you minimize damage by blocking Hall twice, right?
Yeah, even if you baseline, all you do is animate Hall twice. Both Phoenixes block the Hall. You take 5, 7, 8, 16.
Well, you take 24 because they have 2. They have this turn.
Oh
and
yeah.
turns.
Yeah, that's right. They had
multiple. So probably best off blocking the Phoenix first because that's 9 damage, and then chumping Hall once. But then you're taking 15 plus 7.
Yeah,
that's 20. Well, that's the best they could have done was take 22.
Either way, impressive stuff here from Galdecat, the Phoenix King. I'll say, you know, it's definitely played. You know, quite a few Arclight Phoenixes coming back for Gal.
And that's what the mirror is about. It's about setting up the really big combo turn. And E-Cross kept trying to set up some small things that would have been good, but Goldicott had the disruption to stop any of that from getting out of hand. Yeah. And then, you know, taps his opponent out and on the turn that he's going to really fully combo.
Yeah, I think the big mistake was that turn where there was, you know, all those options, 8 cards from EK Ross, and was just not to... Should have just played Treasure Cruise. The temporal trespassings were just too big of, like, you know, bait, essentially. They were too cute. I would have put those to the back of my hand and be like, we'll get to you later. Draw Treasure Cruise, hope to string together Shredders, Considers, and stuff, and refuel at that point.
And some disruption for your
opponents. Disruption, Spell Pierce Dispute, stuff like that. So, all right, looks like that's going to be the end of round number 7. We're starting to get to the end of the line. You best believe that basically every other round that we're going to be bringing to you, it's going to be a win and in, loser goes home type of match. So buckle up. These are going to be some exciting last couple rounds here for Pioneer. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Mana Traders coverage here. My name is Corey Ballmeister. That's Ross Merriam. We're going to be bringing you these final 2 rounds here. And now things are really heating up because making it to the next day, that's really the main goal of day 1 because, well, once you start in day 2, outside of those 4 players, it's not like your tiebreakers carry over, your records carry over. This is a unique system where if you're in it, boom, you all of a sudden have the exact same chance to win as everybody else except those 4 players who have a 1-round bye, which isn't even that huge in this certain scenario. It's pretty huge when it's like a 8-person top 8 kind of thing. But when you have as many people that are going to make day 2 as we do have, yeah, you have like a 1-round bye where you still got to win like 4 to win the championship. So
yeah. And every player in the second day, it's double elimination for them. So you all have the same 1 match to give.
Yes.
And you're all going to be playing, Modern and Pioneer. So really is about getting to that 6th win today.
Yep.
And so for these last 2 rounds, we're going to show you matches between players who are fighting for that 6th win.
Yep.
Right now we've got, by my look at the standings, we've got 6 players at 5-2.
Yep.
So 3 matches playing for spots in the second day. 4 players already locked up with 6 wins. That is Anson, who is our lone 6-0, took a loss from round 7. Happy Sandwich that we saw win last round. Then Magic of Player 1 and Nakashima. So congratulations to the 4 of them, all locked for that second day. And we'll see who is going to join them over these last 2 rounds.
Yep, absolutely. And it looks like 23 players are the only players available still in this tournament. We started at 46, down to 23. It should kind of be 24. With the perfect math, the way it would work out if there were 48 players. But since that is not the case, we'll see what we're going to do where the fact that we might have 11 people that truly make it on record, I assume, probably just giving a 12th player, whoever was in.
It's going to be 11 or 12.
Yeah, it's going to be 11 or 12 no matter what. But I'm saying we probably are just granting whichever player has the highest breaker.
Lucky loser.
Exactly, at 5-4. But, maybe we'll let our director figure that out. The one thing we didn't really anticipate is people wouldn't show up when it comes to this tournament because, well, there's $10K on the line. This is a $30,000 invitational here.
Well, my vote is that we take all the 5-4s and we put them into a Thunderdome style fight to the death for our amusement tonight.
That seems pretty good.
And then whoever emerges alive will get our 12 seed for day 2 tomorrow.
Counterpoint. Just put me in. Put me in. I'll play Breach. Yeah. I'll be the hero left.
You'll commentate at the same time.
Yeah. You can
ooh, let's get my opponent's hand cam up.
You can give me the disadvantage of not allowing me to play Pioneer, so I have to run it. I'm in. I think that seems fair. If that seems fair to you, drop some emotes in chat, and we'll try to start a petition to get me to play in this tournament. I think that seems fair, right?
But okay, third point though.
Yeah.
I play.
You drive a hard bargain, but instead of the nonsense we're saying, how about we go watch some Magic? We got round number 8 of 9 here at the Mana Trader series. Let's jump on in.
I just applaud us for coming up with such great options for Mana Traders in their time of need.
Exactly. I mean, that's literally all we're trying to do at any point is to just help out, the Mana Trader as a company. I think that's only fair.
And that's why they're quadrupling our pay for this event.
Yeah. Man, just imagine if we could just make all these demands on air and it would just work. That'd be sweet. So, top player that we're basically our hero to watch is a Lotus Field deck. This is Casa. I don't know the name, a Japanese pro here, Japanese moto player piloting this deck. And we've been kind of talking about this deck. There's not a lot of copies. 3 in the field.
One of them went 2-4 before Pioneer happened, so it didn't even have a chance.
Yep.
And this looks like a pretty typical list.
And here we go. This is up against Mono Green. Mono Green with Teferi, the pretty much stock list when it comes to that. And got to go first. Huge advantage. Now, Mono Green has 1 chance and 1 chance only against these Lotus Field decks, and that is with Karn and going to find either Pithing Needle, Damping Sphere, or the Stone Brain. That's all you should be focusing on green. And to be fair, the most important card is just Karn, get a Damping Sphere, and and then the game's over, which is exactly what's going to happen next turn.
Yeah, that's what we're set up to do. Get up to 6 mana, and that's perfect. So
yeah. So here's the question: do they play Thespian Stage this turn instead of going for it, or play Lotus Field, lose the game on the spot. And they chose to lose the game on the spot. Because, I mean, to be fair, Tuscanani only had to have 2 cards to make this happen. Card Forest, that does it, but both of those had to be here. And now we'll just see if Tuscanani, respects and acknowledges the line that is the most important, which is Damping Sphere by a mile. Like, even if it shuts down your thing, who cares? All of a sudden, Lotus Field is colorless, Thespian Stage is colorless. There's no play Casa can have to this. So,
and Casa's got to be aware that Karn is a big play for these green decks for Damping Sphere, and you only cost yourself 1 mana by playing the Thespian Stage on the previous turn, because it's 2 mana from the lands that are going to stick around, but 3 mana from the Lotus Field and tapping.
You cost yourself a turn though.
No, because you can. Well, you're going to have 1 mana.
I guess it's kind of the same. What?
No, it's.
Oh, we went for Pithing Needle instead.
Oh, interesting.
Oof.
So if you keep it around, if you play the stage instead, the very next turn you can play Lotus Field, untap it, and copy with 1 mana floating. This way you can now copy with 2 mana floating.
Yeah.
So if you were to draw Hidden Strings, you'd be in business.
Yep. But now the game could be over. We have Casa that is able to Vizier to get up to pour over the pages, and then we start checking it out. And I mean, if this game ends in that, great. You got the Boseiju on lockdown. That is cool. But this game could just be over. Unlikely, though.
Yeah.
It is unlikely. Usually you need that 1 more turn.
And there was a Boseiju in Casa's hand, so if we went for the Damping Sphere, it could have just gotten Boseiju'd it, and you go from there.
Yeah, and granted, that is something that easily could have been there, so it's not a slam dunk of a play as maybe I made it out to be, but there was not a colored source available yet, so it was not possible. And even if you do make that line, most of the time you just Karn for a Pestilence Cauldron, get Damping Sphere back, play it again.
And it looks like we did not find any more ways to net mana, so I think the turn is over, and now Karn can find Damping Sphere with no threat of Boseiju. And that could very well lock up this game.
Yeah, this should be game 1 going to green. And while I do think, this is a good matchup for Lotus Field, especially if Lotus Field's on the play, not unwinnable by any means, because Karn is that good in this matchup.
Now, there are 2 copies of Otawara in the Lotus Field deck, so if we can find a blue source, because currently Lotus Fields aren't going to tap for, once the Damping Sphere that enters.
Yeah, I mean, now if they don't go for Damping Sphere, they better be going for Stone Brain and trying to hit Emergent Ultimatum. I guess that's the hit, but I mean, all I'm doing here is playing Cavalier and then dropping Damping Sphere for sure, or Storm and then Damping Sphere, whatever I have mana for. Whatever I have mana for, that is a 0 risk scenario.
And with them having 2 Lotus Fields on the battlefield, you have Boseiju covered.
All right, there we go.
Let's get our Damping Sphere. There's no way we can play the Cavalier here into the Damping Sphere, right?
Yeah, you definitely can. Yeah, you play the Forest. You Cavalier first, because the Cavalier could get you a land. Yeah. And then if it doesn't, you play Forest, untap it with Kiora, and then play it there. So you could still generate 3 mana here with Cavalier. So realistically, now you couldn't Storm because you'd have to use one of your Storm targets as a land, and that's frowned upon.
So we found a Forest off the Cavalier. We play Forest from hand.
Yeah.
Now, I guess we could have used Kiora on Nykthos to generate 6 mana, but there's nothing to use the 4 mana floating on, so no reason to waste a loyalty on the Kiora.
Yep, no reason. If we had Oath in play, you could play Teferi.
There's the Hidden Strings that they needed last turn.
Yeah, Hidden Strings would have did it. So now, we can easily just see Storm the Festival. Now remember, Damping Sphere is a universal effect. So not only does it shut down Nykthos and Lotus Field, but it also, I was thinking that's risky, but it's truly not. But it shuts down the ability to go Oath into spells. So you gotta keep your eye on how much. Now Storm the Festival costs 7. I think we can still cast it. Or cast Cavalier. Either way, Mono Green's going to be taking this down almost assuredly. But you do got to make sure you play correctly.
Yeah, I think just casting Cavalier here is good enough, because that'll ensure that you have lethal next turn. No reason to take the risk on a Storm.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, play that, attack for 8, say go, have it locked up for next turn. Not a thing that Lotus Field can do.
Yeah, they were really one card away, or one, that one hidden strings away.
Looks like they're playing Teferi, not tapping additional mana for Damping Sphere, so I think they're gonna learn a little bit of exactly how it works.
They might learn that their Nykthos doesn't work.
Yeah, that too.
The way they're playing, it feels like they think their Nykthos is gonna do Nykthos things.
Yeah, agreed.
It taps for colorless. You can pay 2 tap and get colorless too, if you want. I guess if you had exactly 1 devotion, you could pay 2 tap and get green.
Yeah.
Still not advisable.
No.
They do cast the Cavalier. Don't think they've had a land off of that.
Yeah, I think it actually only adds a colorless, even if you nick those at any point, so that wouldn't even work. But yeah, all irrelevant.
Yeah, just attack for 9. Got a nice 12-point attack even without animating the Damping Sphere next turn. And there's really, not anything it can do there.
Now, as far as sideboarding, we don't have to worry about mono green, but let's take a look at the sideboard for Lotus Field.
So we've got 3 Pithing Needle that could name Karn.
Yeah, those are coming in. If it hits Karn, put it in.
1 Terra Sunder that can exile Karn or something Karn gets.
Yep, or it hit Damping Sphere, so that's important.
2 Mystical Dispute doesn't seem great. Nope. Path of Peril, a Behold the Multiverse, a Languish, 2 Supreme Verdicts, a Thought Distortion, an Approach of the Second Sun, 2 Zakama Primal Calamity.
Negative Ghost Rider. I like those top 2 cards, or I like those top 3 cards, or just 2 cards, Pithing Needles and Tear Under, and that's about it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think we just want to stop their limited means of interaction, because it's not like you're worrying about sideboard cards. This is 15 one-ofs, all targets for Karn in the mono green sideboard.
Yeah, absolutely.
15 artifacts. Look at this weird black one. I don't know how they cast that.
I don't know. They cast
that
Pestilence Cauldron. Yeah, I don't think that's the main reason of that one.
What if my Karn could wish for a double regrowth?
Yeah, and gain you some life. Yeah, a lot of targets. So I've been playing Golgari Devotion, where I actually have 4 cards I bring in. So I had to cut the 4 most unnecessary cards that I thought. And I ended up going with Woodcaller Automaton, because it always felt win more to me. I would just always search for something bigger. Godpharaoh Statue, I cut that. Transmogrifying Wand, and Bankbuster. Those were the cards I deemed unnecessary, but every other thing is very, very important when it comes to this deck.
I wonder if we want to cut this Nicol Bolas for something that would be better to draw, like a Woodcaller Automaton.
Yeah, Woodcaller Automaton, I think, is the only card you really want to draw. But, I actually think the Nicol Bolas is the one card you do not want to cut. Because if you got a Pithing Needle on Karn and then you play Nicol Bolas, you can Karn. Which is pretty nice. That's one way to sneak around Needle.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
Yeah, that one's nice. But the Teferi, on the other hand, that's a little unnecessary. But basically, the game plan for mono green, be as fast as possible. Keep only fast hands. Don't care if you just have 3 old growth trolls and a forest, and then 3 lands. That's probably not good enough. Even though that's normally not a bad hand, it's just not good enough.
Oh, definitely. This is definitely a matchup that tests how disciplined you are in your mulliganing. Don't keep medium hands. They're going to punish you every time. Lotus Field deck is very consistent. And you need to either disrupt them or kill them by turn 4.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. All right, here we go. Game number 2. Both players are 1 win away from making that top 8.
1 win. Apparently the Beseiju is face up, which is why the needle came.
No, we knew that, but
yeah,
they wouldn't have had green to cast it.
Potentially not.
Potentially, yeah.
You can always is once the Lotus Field's in play, it will take them 2 turns to Thespian stage a forest. If that was their path.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so getting into this here, that is a no lander. So I imagine we're going to send that one back, or was sent back, and the hand reader is delayed just a little bit.
We're looking at a 5-card hand from Toscanini, so very disciplined in their mulliganing, going down to 5. Do they have the elf? Nope. Looks like a solid hand. Hope Tender is a very good one in this matchup.
Oh, yeah.
Very explosive card. That's a new addition to these Lotus Field decks that really takes advantage of low removal matchups.
Yeah. Yeah, untapping, not only excellent, just that top ability to untap Lotus Field, but then if you can ever just exert it and untap too, like all of a sudden you're just getting an absurd amount of mana advantage.
Yeah, it looks like we are going to cast a Behold the Multiverse here.
All right, very nice. There is some weird scenarios where when you really think you can combo off, that like next turn Casa could play Lotus Field number 2 and like exert and untap them both. You know, it's one way to gain a bunch of mana for one turn if you have like no other play.
Yeah.
Highly doubt we're gonna see that here, but one thing that could happen is Thespian stage and then exert there.
We could see that exert this turn.
Yeah. And on lands that, you know, you're not just getting rid of your cards right away.
Yeah, on 2 Lotus Fields, so that would get Kaza up to 6 mana for this turn. Would see what they could do with it. You know, Hidden Strings or a 4 of the pages could get things going from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. There's the exert.
Could also go just like Mastermind's acquisition into Behold, but yeah, not knowing Impulse, I think you just automatically just do that and Behold.
Well, the Behold's gone. That got cast the previous turn.
Oh, okay. It's just not cut up. Got it.
The Lotus. There's a Lotus Field in the stage that shouldn't be there.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we know
chatting up Kane in the chat. Shout out to you, buddy. Tough run.
We need second. We know second Lotus Field and the acquisition is there.
Okay.
This is just a bunch of impulses. They're going to need a Hidden Strings to keep going.
Okay. There is a needle though, and there is also a Hidden Strings. So you can either keep going or just kind of give up for this turn, Pithing Needle Karn, and just say, okay, what are you going to do? You know, like what's your next turn going to be where I'm actually afraid? You're not afraid of Cavalier. You're not afraid of Old Growth Troll. You know, there's nothing you're afraid of at that point. I would almost like doing that and then just win the next turn.
Well, you know, you're going to have a harder time winning the next turn without the Hope Tender, you know, because that got exerted.
Oh, it did get exerted?
Yeah.
Okay, but I
still
think it is.
Can we zoom in on Hidden Strings? Hidden Strings is any permanent, right?
I don't think you can, but it is any permanent.
Yeah, so we can untap Hope Tender with Hidden Strings.
Yeah, you can untap Hope Tender, and you can also do the channel or hidden stringy ability, whatever the second ability of it is, where you can cipher and like attack with it.
There's a second hidden string, so yeah.
Well, if there's a second one, you win right now, right?
So that would let us just
target both lands or that and that. Yeah, we're going for it because I think you can summon a way to emerge an ultimatum right now.
Yeah, I think we should be good to go.
I would think so. Now you just got to make sure you do it in such a way that you're making sure that you can cast Emergent Ultimatum, because this game's over once you cast that card.
Yeah. Now we go make blue mana,
hidden strings on
Lotus Field and Tender.
Wow, Hope Tender is pretty good against green. Holy crap!
Yeah.
This is why I play Golgari, so I can kill cards like that. Just kidding. I don't bring them in anyways in this matchup, so it's just going to work.
Yeah, they only have 2 Hope Tenders, and it's like the only card you care about killing, so how much removal can you leave in? And then the games where they have it, you're just like, ugh.
I thought Fading Hope was a different Magic card, but it seems like all the hope is fading here.
They're keeping it alive. They're tending to the hope.
Okay. I like it.
They're just only working for one side.
Okay. So now we're deciding. It looks like we're masterminding acquisition.
Yeah. I think they're just planning out the turn from here.
Yes, planning out the mana. You have to plan out the mana. And there we go. So that's that. So there's the blue. Now if you Hidden Strings, then you have 2 blue left in your pool. You can Hidden Strings on the 2 Lotus Fields. That's green, 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 black, black, black. Cast it, win. That seems even more complicated. It does add more mana. It's just more fail rate.
So you make black here. Then you untap. You have 2 black, 2 blue. Untap both fields.
Yep.
Tap for green. Now you have a Lotus field untapped, and you cast Emergent Ultimate.
Or here's blue. Is that wrong though?
They can do that too.
Matter, yeah.
They can just make black green after. It just depends on what they want to have floating.
Gotcha. So now you can also needle for card just in case the game doesn't somehow end this turn.
This leaves them blue, blue, black instead of a Lotus field, which is 3 of any.
Yeah.
Maybe they prefer to have both colors floating.
Who knows? Either way, all right, Ross. What do we get? You got your Lotus field test.
So it's usually Omniscience, Dark Petition, and Leer, right?
Yeah, I think that would make sense to me. Or I know that other 7-drop is in there. Behold the Beyond. That's one of the ingredients.
They went for Omniscience, Dark Petition.
Look at you. Good for you. Yeah, I think Beyond the Behold. I don't even remember exactly what this card does, but I've seen it in a lot of piles.
Discard your hand, then triple Demonic Tutor.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, that one will do just well.
That will do indeed.
Either get
2 of those. Gonna GG that up. And all you have to do when you've comboed like this for Leer to be a card that wins you the game is just have 2 mana available and Hidden Strings in your yard. You know, so yeah, so far we've just seen 2 complete beatings. But to be fair, they were both games where Casa was on the play, and our mono green player has not had that chance. There are draws, surprisingly, where I think mono green can basically beat Lotus Field combo when they're on the play that can't really. I'm gonna put this in air quotes because there is some combination of like having Besage You when you need it into the nuts perfect from Lotus Field, where I think Lotus Field could beat the nuts of mono green on the play.
Yeah,
and it involves Unbeatable Grazer almost every time. It might involve that like pretty much any time to be able to keep pace with mono green when it's on the play. And Adrian, maybe we'll close that window if you don't mind.
I think with mono green on the play, you're right. A Grazer will probably be necessary. If
there's
they
Unbeatable Grazer.
Nuts.
The hand is very beatable. That hand is extremely beatable.
That's more of the beatable Grazer variety. Oh, on the mulligan, they've got Grazer. I do not see any way to find a Lotus field, though.
Down to 5. It
looks like we're not.
Oh, that was their 5. Yeah, I mean, you got to keep it. But wow, that hand is awful. And if that's the best you can do on 5, like.
And they've got
Thespian stage is good. Temple, now we're looking for Sylvan Scrying. We're looking for our card, but
no second land.
But
here.
You do have Oath, so this is fine. Yeah. So if you draw the land, you have the Stone Cold Nuts from green.
Yeah.
Kiora on top Elf is great.
And even if a land here would still be fine.
Oh yeah, there's no way, shape, or form that is a mulligan. But this is a hand that can be beat because it does not contain Karn. It doesn't have any of these draws that like right now, if there was land Karn, I do not think Casa has a chance. But since this is just Elves and Storm the Festivals and all your normal goods for mono green, it's beatable. But of course, Casa has to draw the namesake card. Otherwise, this is not a chance.
Oh, here's Cavalier because we don't have a land drop for the Storm. So this finds Nykthos. I think will be no Nykthos.
But yeah, this realistically, this is a turn 3 Cavalier. Maybe it was turn 3 Cavalier. Yeah. Normally that's excellent, but this is not necessarily the match where a turn 3 Cavalier not finding Nykthos is really going to be good enough.
Yeah, and still not much going on here for Casa. We don't know what they drew for turn. They play their Thespian stage, but the cards that we know of, none of them do anything or are castable.
Yeah.
There's a Teferi. Doesn't do a whole lot. I think we'll just see a Storm here.
Kane would have won this game if he didn't get so unlucky in that match where he was piloting the best deck in the whole tournament. I'm just kidding. Casa is doing absolutely everything they have available to him. We just want to keep giving Breach love because we're sad that we're not going to see it tomorrow.
Very sad.
Very sad. All right, storm it up.
Sad. Storm and Norman. What did we have? Well, there's a Karn and a Nykthos.
There's a Karn, burrito. So now you search, and this is a good spot where you do get that needle. I like it here. Name Thespian stage. Well, there's nothing to really search for.
Or just name the Besage You.
Yeah, that's true too. Maybe it's just always Besage You.
Yeah, you're not really in any danger of dying here. It doesn't seem like, even if they have a Lotus field.
Yeah. And maybe this is the safer play to be doing all the time, even though I know Tuscanani, the way the hands worked out last time and the way that this can totally just work out from time to time. You know, Tuscanani gave them an extra turn where they could have comboed where it wasn't Damping Sphere. But maybe for safety, this is just what you always should be doing. Needle into Sphere. Quite possible.
They did name Thespian stage on that Needle, and there's Terra Thunder. That must have been the card drawn. So now we have a Boseiju in hand for the upcoming Damping Sphere.
Yep.
That could offer Kaza a way into this game if they can find a Lotus field.
So the one thing with that is Terra Under does exile it, so Karn can go search for that Needle again if need be.
A downside for Terra Thunder. Why aren't you naturalized?
Yeah. But to be fair, then Karn can go search for Pestilence Cauldron, bring it back, and then play it again. So it doesn't matter. Unless you put in the extra exile zone. All right, but actually the game's just over. Green wins. This is game.
So we've got the Kiora here getting us up to 8 devotion.
Yeah, Kiora gets you here. You can go for Chain Veil here from Karn. Kiora twice your lands, then you can Teferi your lands, and Teferi plus Chain Veil is infinite life in non-Magic Online works, but infinite life here doesn't really, I guess, like, do it, right?
Looks like we went for a Storm in the Festival.
Yeah, but we're not done yet. Kiora can untap Nykthos after this. Yep.
We found another Nykthos and a Nicol Bolas, so that doesn't help our devotion.
Yeah, but it's still lethal if they truly see it here, because now
the Nicol Bolas can also keep untapping Nykthos.
Yeah, it can untap Nykthos, or it can activate Karn, which is the thing you need. So you activate Nykthos, untap Nykthos, add more mana, go get Chain Veil, activate that 2 or 3 times, so that even if your Planeswalkers go away, you can tick up Karn to 2, down to 0, gets Pestilence Cauldron, bring back Karn, kind of do this again. And with these lists, you don't win by sacking like Ugin's Nexus. I mean, this is the Golgari version.
If we go for Chain Veil and Chain Veil gets Boseiju, what happens?
Good question.
Bad things, right?
No.
Not fun things?
No, it doesn't matter, because you Chain Veil once, that ability will still trigger, and then you just Karn for Pestilence Cauldron, bring Chain Veil back, as well as another Planeswalker or whatever.
We have enough mana for that.
Yes.
Ooh, we're
on the Nykthos. I think that is the only way that this game maybe doesn't end, to be fair. Like, I think that was extremely smart on Casa.
That'll play.
Yep, that'll play.
But now we can just Karn for Damping Sphere.
Yep.
We do have Balagan Recovery.
You can also Karn for God's Pharaoh Statue if you're going to end your turn and just say good luck. God's Pharaoh Statue is another one that is nearly impossible to get through. Damping Sphere is better when there's already Lotus Field on the battlefield because it colds them. But here's not a bad time for Statue. Looking at other topic, you can also get the Stone Brain and go just take their Emergent Ultimatums. You can go take their Lotus Fields. You just do whatever you want here, basically. You got lethal in like 9 different ways. Well, all right, we still have 4 mana. I wouldn't mind Stone Braining for the... oh, never mind. Oh, they're dead again. They tried.
Tried so hard. So hard. They got so far.
But in the end, honestly, it just doesn't really matter when you have this much going on, All right, there's the Veil of the Chain variety. Whenever you have 10 mana plus, you can always play Chain Veil, activate, use that extra Kiora activation to activate Nykthos. Kiora hasn't even activated once yet, though, so you can Kiora once on the Chain Veil, once on Nykthos, and then, you can do it again.
Is our Teferi activated?
It's activated once. So you're going to activate Chain Veil, then it can activate a second time. And you can gain enough life where you will eventually win the game by Pestilence Cauldron and just hard casting it after you've gained enough life. Yeah. And you keep on tapping it with Kiora, and you just mill them. And then you say go when they have no library.
And your Nicol Bolas gives you black devotion, so you can make black mana with Nykthos.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Or there is the way to get it. These decks have Reckoner Bankbusters. Yeah, sure. That creates one treasure. I always played the Treasure Vault. So you just go get Treasure Vault, you sack, get a couple treasures, and you go with that. And it's also a land, but yeah. Either way, impressive stuff. That is normally a pretty bad matchup, especially, we're hearing in the chat from the Lotus Field Master himself, Kane. That post-party gets even worse. I believe it. Yeah. When you bring in that many needles. Needle is a scary card against green in that matchup because the creatures don't win.
An unfortunate time to mulligan to 5 for Casa there.
And not even a good 5. Like, Casa just truly got unlucky there because even if you mull to 5, you can win this matchup relatively, at least have yourself a chance. But, that was a bad 5.
As we always say, generally, you want to play the namesake card for your deck. So if you're the Lotus Field deck and you don't draw Lotus Field, it's probably going to be a tough time.
Just like Jeskai Breach, you really want to cast through the Breach. I mean, that just that just
checks out. The battlefield, get that Annihilator trigger going.
Yeah, I think I figured out. I think I was the wrong Breach because I keep casting through the Breach and putting in Ragavan, and I'm like, this deck is not that good. I don't get
just dash this for 2 mana.
I know, but whatever. You keep winning with it, so I figure I should keep trying. But yeah. All right, what do we think, Director? We got another match queued up, or how we looking? Okay.
What are we looking at?
So we have nothing at that X2 range, which is fine. But if you got some X3s here, that's fine. We will definitely check those out. These are the players that are back against the wall. These are not playing win and ends. They're playing win and not die on the spot.
They're playing losing outs.
Yeah, so hit us with any of these as long as they're in contention. All these players can play as long as they want. They get good practice. So some players will stay in with 4 losses already. Granted, we're probably not going to feature them, but why not play against the best,
I'm looking at 4 players still playing at 4 and 3.
Okay. We got Botatinia,
EK Ross. Kavisa.
So we got either Phoenix Mirror or Red Black versus Gruel. What do you think here? I think we just saw Phoenix Mirror.
Yeah, let's go to Rakdos versus Gruel.
Yeah, I want to see some more Rakdos versus Gruel because I'm still not fully set that matchup is as bad as it seemed. But maybe I could be wrong. I have hope that Rakdos is actually going to do well this time. I have faith.
Yeah. How much faith do you have now?
Less. I have less faith. Okay, so that's double Shaper Sanctuary, 3 cards in hand for our Gruel player, and the main thing being Clothis. Clothis is huge here.
So 4/5 everywhere.
Okay, so there is a removal spell that will grant... Does that stack? I didn't see it. I think it does, right? Shaper Sanctuary stacks, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so you get to draw both. Thank God. That card cannot be any worse to actually be playable, in my opinion. I really think that card is already so bad. Yeah, and I'm very, very sad whenever I put that in my 75. But that being said, you lead on that on turn 1 against Rakdos, and then you start playing your stuff that lines up against them, then it's going to be amazing. But that is a lot of ifs, and if you ever draw that card late, it's the worst.
Yeah, and there are, in fact, just the 2 copies of Shaper Sanctuary to Visa's sideboard, and the 1 Clothis. So sideboard cards coming up big right now. That said, that there is a good amount of pressure with this boat.
Yeah.
We might be able to race this depending upon what's in Kavisa's hand, but 6 cards there. Got to imagine there's some goodness going on.
Oh, good Lord, do I not miss playing against Clothis. That card is just frustrating.
Also, if Kavisa can add 3 green devotion to the battlefield, green or red, we could get in with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Honestly, most of the time against this Rakdos deck, you want to avoid getting that online.
Yeah,
Extinction Event. Like that's a true thing you don't want to line up.
But if they have 3 elves and a stomp, that would be the ideal 4 cards.
That's true.
Often not the ideal 4 cards on turn 9.
yeah.
But in this case, excellent.
Not bad, yeah. And now it just comes down to how many turns does Botatinia have? Because this is a finite amount of turns. So Botatinia, being the great Magic player that they are, they recognize, like, this is not a situation where I can hold back, try to answer the threats or whatever. Clothis is unbelievably unkillable. Yeah. It will win the game, at some point.
We can balance it with a Shieldred, right?
True.
Every turn cycle, both players will lose 2 and gain 2.
Yeah.
And I'll cancel out.
We've been seeing a very shocking number of lack of Shieldreds on coverage so far.
Shieldred could also potentially block a Colossus that gets big and devoted enough to attack. So Shieldred a nice answer to that card.
Yep. Yeah, that's the card I'd be looking for in this matchup as a way to win. Like, I do not want to be like trying to overload my deck with extra weird pieces of removal like a Braid, so I have situational removal against everything. In theory, you have answers against everything, but in reality, with how Magic works and how the games play out, your draws just don't line up like that often.
That is very true. Zika's Chariot here from Kaviza. That's a Castle Lockthwain off the top from Batatinha. Not what they wanted to see.
Yeah, and I think this is a play Chariot with just having that many cards in hand. Play Chariot, hold up, stomp play, and like, how are you going to win through that is what I would be thinking. And they're pretty right. That's gonna look pretty good. But this Sky Sovereign can get in there. Den could get in there as well if that's what we're going for. But no, looks like we're trying to castle our way into something else here.
Yeah, I don't think the creature lands are going to be enough.
I don't either. And Batatinha, I think, would agree. Although that's 4 mana, which signifies Hive.
Also castle.
No, because that's 3 mana.
3 on the castle. Oh, we just made a mana off of it?
Pool, yeah.
Okay.
Or just misclick, bot to untap and stuff, but...
Okay, we're animating the Hive. Interesting. So... I suspect that will crew the boat. Although I guess if we crew with Bone Crusher, then the one blocker can't block the Hive.
Yeah, because if you crew with Hive, then you attack for 10. Like, great, that's a lethal attacker, but you have a cat to block. And, there's no hidden information here. It's there. There's nothing there, I should say. There's 0 cards in hand for Batatinha. Nothing that can be generated anymore. Is there maybe only 1 or 2 spells or something?
I don't know.
It seems like a weird line to me, but I bet this is a line where Batatinha is like, okay, if you don't have another creature to crew this, I win.
But the Shaper Sanctuary triggers off of abilities.
Does it? I don't think so. Oh, God.
Yep.
Yuck. Vomit. Yeah, almost at that point, can you Sky Sovereign your own stuff or anything? Or 3 damage, target creature or planeswalker an opponent? Yeah, you just have to. Checkmate boat.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Yeah. All right, so that's 9 damage.
And 2 cards. And I find it hard to believe that with a full grip, they're not going to be able to generate 2 power.
Or a stomp.
There's the stomp.
That's going to be it.
Didn't need any cards.
Well, I mean, we don't know exactly if this was game 3 or not, but, this game was close. This game looked close. We jumped in a little late, of course, but overall, very close game. But man, enchantments against Rakdos have always been very good, historically.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And, especially ones that make their normal game plan so awkward. Well, we poo-pooed Shaper Sanctuary earlier, but it is the reason we're not big fans of it is that it's very high variance.
Yes.
When you draw it late, it's awful. When you draw it early, it's great.
Yeah.
And we prefer our cards to be more consistent.
Exactly. Right. Well said. Well said.
And the Shaper Sanctuaries here, they came down in time.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Those are also the kind of cards that I think we can both collectively agree we hate losing to, even though they might play into our game plan perfectly. But we've both experienced the high variance of the card, so that when you lose to it, it feels extra bad because that card is not always this good type of thing.
We know our opponents are very lucky.
Very lucky.
Yeah, and there's the Bone Crusher Rubbins. We got up to 7 Devotion.
Yeah, take 10. All right, and that is GG. Yeah, you gotta smug that in there. But I believe these are the players that was not a win in. Now that will be eliminating Batatinha, a very extremely talented Magic player that I have lost to him twice on the Pro Tour. So this is a player that has been to the limits. Has really done it all.
Did you lose in the 04 bracket? I wouldn't think Pochettino would be down there.
No. Believe it or not, I used to win some games when they had the draft rounds at the end of the day. You know? Then my records were usually pretty good. Since they made that switch, I was always clawing from behind.
Like, okay, I'm 0-3.
Yeah. Hey, I am very consistently 1-2. Okay. If I'm 2-1, I'm ecstatic, and I 3-0'd literally twice in my entire life at Pro Tours.
Good enough.
Not bad. So sounds like we are all out, right? Okay, so just 2 matches. They're kind of out of the realm here. We are going to be heading to break shortly, coming in for our very last round. So anybody who may be having to leave anytime soon, first of all, how dare you? Not cool. We'd like you to finish this last round, but last round is going to be all win-and-in players. If you're going to see them on camera, they are, playing for their spot tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to have our top 12 players, top 11. We're going to figure out exactly how that works, a little bit later. Top 4 players are going to have a bye. This is very, very similar to the SCG structure, except it's single elimination at those tournaments, double for here. So we get to see a little bit more magic. We're giving players a little bit more agency over their destiny. But that's going to be the thing we're doing tomorrow. That will be starting at noon Eastern time. It'll be us 2 and Adrian in the back end, and it'll be a lot of fun. So you're not going to make a comment on? No. Okay, I was trying to troll you there. So
already did it once.
Okay, gotcha. So one last thing of cleaning house a little bit before we head to break. Remember, if you want to try these decks out, you absolutely can. If you don't have a loan program, you are really missing out. Loan programs are awesome. I use them basically every tournament I play online because, well, I switch decks a decent amount, and selling your cards, then rebuying them, you lose money in that exchange rate because how else would bots be open? They got to make money when they buy stuff. They make money when they sell stuff. That costs you money if you are deciding to change decks. Not anymore with the loan program. You can use !Bash Bros in the chat. You can use that code, save yourself 15% off the first 2 months. And you can trade decks and try as many decks as you want, get a feel for a format, figure out what your play style is, and then go from there once you have an idea of it.
And then finally get Underworld Breach.
And then finally go to Modern and play Underworld Breach after you get one of our guides, or in fact, both of our guides. I think that would be the best thing.
You're going to need both of them.
Yeah, you're going to need both of them.
Mine tells you what to do. His tells you what not to do. You get everything.
And we've lost our co-commentator. He is now out of the building. So we're going to take ourselves a short break. We'll be right back for that final round here on the Mana Trader Series. All right, everybody, welcome back to coverage here of the Mana Trader Series, our end of the year event. Something we've been working towards this whole year, these last couple months, we were unable to bring coverage with, me and Brad being out of town. You were busy playing a lot of tournaments, busy last couple months. But outside of that, we've watched the journey of all these players throughout the year get to here. And it's been really fun seeing all these household names of the Mana Trader Series, get to this point and battle out for a $30,000 tournament.
Yeah, a lot on the line. That has attracted a lot of players that were well known, before this, have a lot of accomplishments in competitive Magic, but also affords the opportunity for newer players to emerge and say, you know what, I've got the chops to hang in this arena as well.
Yep, absolutely. Well said. So players are getting ready for that final round, 9 out of 9. Players are, kind of getting paired up as we go. While we're waiting here, do we have the bracket? I can't remember. Maybe I asked for this already, Adrian. Okay, if we got the bracket, let's check this out because this is going to be a bit of an interesting scenario here. Ross, walk us through this a little bit.
So, this bracket for the next day is slotted for 12 people because based on the 48 players we had qualified, we would have had 12 that finished with a record of 6-3 or better. And those players are going to be seeded based on their standings from day 1. 1st through 4th, you can see, are already moved into that second column. That means they're going to be getting a bye in round 1 tomorrow. So everybody still has something to play for in this last round, even the players at 6 and 7 wins already. Then the next thing you'll notice is that the top half of the bracket is colored green, the bottom half colored red. That's the green half is going to be the winners part of this double elimination bracket. And if you're in the green half of it, you're playing Modern. once you lose, you move down to the lower half, the losers bracket of the double elim. Now you're playing Pioneer in the red part of the bracket. So tomorrow is going to be all Modern and Pioneer. We'll be able to alternate a bit between it as we, figure out who comes out of that lower bracket, who makes it through the upper bracket, and I'll set up our finals playing for $10,000.
Okay, well said. Pretty cool structure, though. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I like the double elim bracket. Giving people a little bit of leeway on the last day so they can't just like storm through the tournament and then have the worst timing for bad luck and be out. I really like double elim on a last day event like this.
Totally agree. And speaking of the last day, we got our round coming in. So let's check out that last round.
With 2 formats too, it means you're not out until you get to play at least one of those 2.
Yeah.
So if you really like one of your decks, but really hate the other, don't worry, you're not just going to be eliminated from the first format. So we got Danielakos on the bottom of your screen here playing Izzet Phoenix. This is a deck that they have played for a long time and are very adept with. Looks like they might be playing a mirror match.
A Phoenix mirror match, eh? Well, these always are pretty insane.
Yep, that's what we see.
All righty. Well, let's buckle up a little bit here. We'll check this out. Both players are at 5 wins, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
See, what is that? Delancina? Delancina, I believe is how we pronounce that. So let's bring up their deck list. Just looking at the opening hands, the pieces of the puzzle are very important in this matchup to set up the delve spells, but really needs a third land. Finds a pathway here. That was huge for Danielakos. Because you see the delve cards in Delancinia's hand, but the without the pieces of the puzzle, you're just not going to have a big enough graveyard to cast those on time. So you'd much rather have the pieces first, find the delve spells off the pieces of the puzzle, and then everything runs smoothly. Yeah, I like going for the pieces here. Just next turn you could even set up the Fiery Impulse on the Ledger Shredder into something. We find a Cruise and a Consider. Good hits. Oh, and a Pieces off the top.
Oh, baby. That was excellent.
Yeah, that's going to keep pace now.
Pretty much the dream. It looked like, yeah, put a couple shredders to the yard, but yeah, still pretty impressive.
This is both players maintaining parity. They both have excellent starts. Turn 2 Shredder, turn 3 Pieces is exactly what you want.
Totally agree. All right, and Consider here starting it up. And let's see. Bend one of those removal spells that you say we usually take out quite often, the Fiery Impulse. Yeah. Not completely useless. They do still deal with Shredder,
We saw one just deal with Shredder.
And honestly, as far as decks go, when it comes down to, like bad cards being in your main deck, Izzet Phoenix is one of those decks that could not care less most of the time with all the connive, with all different ways to discard cards. Sometimes you don't really care. Yeah.
And we're seeing here the first delve spell get resolved for Danielakos with that Treasure Cruise, and he finds a Spell Pierce. That's going to allow him to play some defense now. Maybe prevent Delancinia from ever getting back to parity in this game. And the real advantage here is being on the play. That said, Delancinia also with some Spell Pierces. Their hand just updated. So they're going to be able to fight back. So once again, both players keeping parity.
Yeah, it always, Phoenix mirrors are like, if anyone has to control an advantage bar, they're like, God, like, I need a cigarette after this, because it's always just back and forth and back and forth. And pretty much that's the entire matchup, post-board and pre-board, or pre-board especially. Post-board, you have a little bit more interaction, but I mean, as we see, this is a lot of Spell Pierce, just already. You usually don't see this much interaction on game 1.
Now that both players just happen to draw it, so they're really just maintaining parity. We see Shredders, we see Cruises get cast. Everybody's cast one piece of the puzzle, a couple Spell Pierces back and forth. But now the tiebreaker is, what does this Cruise hit? Got a couple more pieces of the puzzle in hand for Danielakos. That's better than anything I see in the other hand.
Yeah, 100%.
And not great hits off of that Cruise here for Delancinia. Those Considerers are going to have to hit something nice on the next turn because, we're going to start with the Lightning Axe, make sure we get that Shredder out, no connives for the opponent, and now we can Pieces again. Might even be able to hit another Cruise.
Yeah, might be able to hit some Phoenixes as well, you
Yep.
know? And up first, why would you do that?
To give yourself more options for discarding to the connive, and we did find a Phoenix.
They found 2 Phoenixes, so, to be fair, it worked out horribly because they would have had a 3rd Phoenix in the yard because
Oh,
pieces would have hit that,
there's
so.
only so bad this could be.
Yeah, it's only the game's completely over or the game's still completely over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we went parity on the first 4 turns of this game, really. But after both
yeah,
cruises resolved, the leftovers for Danielakos a lot better than the leftovers for Delancina, and those
yeah.
that extra piece of the puzzle finally hit a bunch of Arclight Phoenixes. And you might say, like, oh, that's pretty lucky for them to draw, like, hit so many of them right at once. Well, they're halfway through their deck.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
You
2
go through
Phoenixes is what
these.
you should expect.
Yeah, you go through these extremely fast here, and yep, the Phoenix Master that we see all the time. Nothing against our opponent up top. Just haven't seen as many results. Maybe
Yeah.
one of our, I would say, quote unquote unknowns, but all these players are really good Magic players because this isn't just, spike one tournament, get into this. This is for a lot of people, long points, crushing a league, crushing the league play leading up to it, which usually means you go like 8 or 9-0. Like,
Yeah.
if you ever look at these records, this isn't like, oh, somebody just went 7-2 and they clinched the top spot. No, they're 9-0, they're 10-0, maybe
Oh.
sometimes like 11-0. People play to try to get to these spots.
One month I think it was 18-2.
Yeah, because they were like really actually fighting for it. They're
Yeah.
like, you know what? I want to be in this tournament and I don't want to put it to chance where I have to take second in a 200-person tournament. Like, these tournaments are still tough. Now, granted, that being said, these tournaments are, the league itself is open. Anybody can play in these, but the amount of money you can win if you're not a Mana Trader subscriber versus the amount of money you can win if you are, it's, the difference is so large that you just, no matter what, should be a Mana Trader subscriber. You already should be because of the service, but, if I was about to play in this tournament and I looked and I'm like, I could join their service for $15 and have the chance to win a large amount of money, or not, and I'd win a much smaller amount. You choose that every time.
Okay, going into game 2 here, looking at both players' sideboards, in my experience, the Phoenix Mirror is so much about galvanic iteration and delve spells and pieces of the puzzle, like resolving those key spells. I don't like bringing in a bunch of extra threats because you want to bring in some counter spells. You want your mystical disputes. Sometimes you want like 1, maybe 2 disdainful strokes to help counter those delve spells. I try not to go overboard on those. And if you bring in too many threats along with those counters, you've cut too much into your proactive game plan and then made it harder to set up those delve spells. So I usually don't do a ton of sideboarding in the Phoenix Mirror. Just bring in a few more counter spells and hope to stop my opponent's key spells in the early game. That said, I do see a Crackling Drake get milled off of a Consider. So Delancina disagrees, wants to bring in some bigger creatures. Drake is a nice sort of card advantage, good in longer games, little vulnerable to Mystical Dispute, little vulnerable to Lightning Axe. But the fact that it replaces itself does mean it comes at lower cost than some other threats. Opportunity cost, I should say.
Yep, totally agree.
So if you were going to bring in another threat, that is the one I would choose. If that's something you wanted, I would definitely take that over like a Saheeli or a Young Pyromancer.
Totally agree. Totally agree with you.
Yeah, that's because I'm right.
Yeah, is it usually Young Pyromancer now, or do you just switch to Iconoclast now, or does it not matter?
Generally it is Iconoclast because all your lands produce blue. You don't play like basic red sources where you can get screwed for it being a blue-red card.
Yep.
But creating colorless tokens can be very important against mono white and Brave the Elements.
Oh, yes, that's huge.
Yeah.
That is huge. Yeah, you don't play Fable or anything, so it's not like that really comes up. But there's Saheeli's in the yard, so that's already, a thing.
There is another point in favor of Young Pyromancer where this only works in paper though.
Okay.
Where you can use Ross Miriam tokens.
So yes,
that's a big plus.
Definitely Iconoclast. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's get real. If you played Iconoclast, you'd use your own token as a proxy.
And I did. Okay, we see once again both players starting on some Ledger Shredders. We go Shredder Axe. So it looks like Danielakos really wants to connive. Interestingly, because of these Shredders came down on turn 3, we're a little turn behind, but both players also have pieces of the puzzle.
Yep.
Danielakos pitching the Spell Pierce to the connive, realizing I've now tapped out for too many turns.
Yeah.
The Spell Pierce probably isn't going to hit anything I wanted to hit.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And yeah, it's always this sub game. Like, do I let Shredder mildly get out of control, or do I try to wait and try to deal with the spells? And and then maybe Shredder wins the game, you feel bad, or maybe the spells win the game, and then you feel bad as well. So it is. It's always a tough choice.
Yeah, and there, could have just lightning axe the shredder and passed with spell pierce up.
Yep.
Decided not to do that. And to get established their own shredder. This pieces for Delancina finding another pieces and another trespass. So looks like, and then they're going to axe the shredder. Could have done that first to avoid this connive. This connive is really going to help Danielakos because they want to get to that trespass when they have iteration as well.
Yeah.
The discard dispute again. So continuing to discard those counters. You might think, oh, why don't they discard the Spikefield Hazard? Not very good removal spell, but right here
they need the land, right? Yeah, exactly.
Lands.
Yeah, and that is the kind of sick thing too. Some of these changes that maybe Galdacata searched, you can piece of the puzzle for a land.
Yeah,
that duality is really nice.
Very, very important thing to keep in mind with this deck. And unfortunate top deck there from Delancina drawing the Arclight Phoenix after they cast their Lightning Axe and right before they're about to cast a pieces of the puzzle.
Yes. It's the equivalent of drawing Grinding Station, or drawing, maybe not quite Thassa's Oracle, but pretty close.
Also an awkward Spire Bluff Canal here, because now they have to choose between playing Cruise or holding up Dispute.
Yeah, I like waiting.
So do I.
The train wreck scenario the biggest train wreck scenario that almost just happened was Galvanic Temporal, and you can only counter one of them. That was the worst case scenario for a top player. They luckily dodged, because that would have been huge. You still take a turn, and then you get to untap and try to do it again.
That is an aggressive Mystical Dispute.
Okay.
And now we see Consider Optimum Response. So that's going to be able to bring back the Arclight Phoenixes. We find another land. So we have Iteration Trespass set up for next turn. But is Delancina able to do something awesome on their turn? They've got a Cruise. They've got a Trespass. There's a Lightning Axe that can pitch the Phoenix. So we might see a big Phoenix turn here with Axe Cruise pieces.
Yeah.
Start with Cruise to see the options. If we find land and iteration, we could just double time walk and then do the big Phoenix turn next turn, which would be amazing. So like that, starting with the Cruise.
Yeah, we're definitely in these wild, scenarios of the game here. Oh, yeah. One thing I loved is Axe and then Time Walk, right?
Yeah,
but Axe Phoenix, you get to bring back 2 Phoenixes
so that's
and
6,
attack.
and then with the Hall, it's 13. That's 1 short. Because Danielakos is at 20.
I just still think it was a good enough play, because then next turn you cast pieces. Or was that the pieces we just cast?
Oh, we have 3. That actually would have been
lethal. Well, the pieces might have found one.
Oh, yeah.
But still,
I think the pieces must have found one.
Regardless, now I think the game's over. Now I think.
Well,
Daniel.
We left all the Phoenixes up.
Very smart. Yep. No, that's very smart.
So now we get to impulse one of them, iteration, trespass, bring back.
Oh, you did draw the land. Yep.
Yeah, we did the land to do this. So play our island. Now we trespass, and we've got another trespass after this.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm kind of with you. I don't know if this is enough.
Yeah,
we need a top deck
Yeah, there's only 1 Phoenix there.
But there's another Galvanic for this other Temporal. Is there enough cards to do this
8
again?
So that's going to be 6 to be able to delve. That's not enough.
6, but this Phoenix is going to be the 7th, or that's the 6th. All right, so we are taking 2 turns here, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so here's turn number 1.
So if we can find just some cantrips. Okay, so there's a land. Thing is, we just can't do anything with our turns.
Yeah, I think you just go land go here, and then you hope to draw. If you draw a consider is the best, because it's like a ritual right now. It's like adding 2, and then that might give you the option to go Galvanic Temporal, be completely out of resources, but at least you're not dead on the spot.
I'll consider Galvanic Temporal, but also bring back your Phoenix again.
Yeah, but still, basically no resources, because you're going to attack. Yeah. You're going to have 0 cards in hand, and you're going to be hoping for the best.
Yeah, the big difference here is that Danielakos was never able to treasure cruise in this game.
Yeah.
So just kind of ran out of resources a little bit.
But 1 did get countered, right?
I
think it was pretty early on, but maybe that was a different game.
No, there was a Charter Course that got countered this game.
Okay, so we're tapping mana.
The lack of cruise and having both shredders had Delancina had the answers to both shredders. That was going to be important for.
Is this the Phoenix having to go away too? Probably, right? Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so we have the next 3 turns. Yeah, because here's one from the last one. So now we have 2 turns after this.
We did land go on our first extra turn from the previous one. Then we took another extra
No, we
turn.
didn't land go. They were thinking about that, and they did that. So, Treasure Cruise the draw. Here's turn.
So now...
So we have one more turn after this.
Oh, God.
No! Stabbed in the back repeatedly. They're going to get one more draw at like a consider or a land to just cruise, but what a dagger.
Well, we can cruise.
So is this what you were talking about? They needed to have a turn like this where they can cruise? Like, is this what you envisioned?
Yeah, this is going to catch it back up.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I think we're going to see another game happen pretty quickly. Cruise finds Spire Bluff, Spikefield, Consider. And we should see pieces of the puzzle, Trespass, and any 1-mana spell. Oh, there's an iteration. Yeah, that'll do, Pig.
Yep, that will do indeed. Going to game number 3, and man, Daniel was really, really poised to take this game. It looked advantage to me, but needed those top cards to be like pieces of the puzzle into Treasure Cruise, and then this game would have still been over pretty easily. But
what he really needed this game was a haul. If he had the haul instead of his opponent, then all those extra turns, you have something to do with them.
Yeah, and you only needed to connect twice.
Yeah.
So yeah, good call. That would have been good.
You can take a bunch of extra turns, but if you don't have anything relevant to do with them, they don't matter a whole lot.
Exactly.
Do we have it? We need to play another spell. The Axe and Phoenix are no longer in the hand. I think the only spell that's still in the hand is Pieces.
Up top?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But we've now set up double extra turns, so even if we don't have it right now, Pieces next turn should be able to get it. Or at least Galvanic, flashback Galvanic into Pieces. Yeah. Now we see 10 cards towards any 1-mana spell, but yeah, they did not have another spell. Oh no, we don't. Oh, we don't even have the Pieces. We just have a bunch of counter spells. Oh, but is the haul good enough? Not really. This is just 16. Oh my God, is their double time walk not going to end the game either?
Yeah, this is absurd because this almost always has ended it for me. I mean, I would probably say an 80%. 80% most of the time that you do it, because it's almost 100% when you're given the option to do so, you do it.
Oh, well, so what we could have done was instead of attacking with Haul this turn, we could flashback iteration, spell pierce it,
yep,
and then get 3 Phoenixes back, and then attack with Haul the next turn.
11, yeah, now that's still game. If they do it right here.
Well, just go Galvanic, Spikefield, let the copy resolve. You go to 11, and you've connived. And
this
then you
is game if they draw a spell. It's exactly 12 if they top deck.
You have the iteration in the graveyard. So you go Galvanic iteration, Spikefield, let the copy happen. You go to 11, counter the original with Spell Pierce. Now I connive.
Yes.
Or no, you already connived off the iteration Spikefield. So counter that to get my third spell for Phoenixes. You're at 11. I discard with the Mystical Dispute to the connive. I have exactly 11.
Yep, should be exactly 11, or should be exactly 12 here, but with the hazard here. Yep.
Yeah, you just pay for the pierce.
So yeah, you wanna discard a spell. Step number 1. They did it. Now spell pierce whatever you want and pay for it. 2, 3 spells, 3 arc lights coming back, 9, 10, 11. But the one Spikefield hazard is getting through. Actually, the other one does as well. So it's even an extra point.
Yeah.
No big deal.
One extra. Could have discarded the land anyway.
Yeah.
Could have held up the dispute.
Held it, made it a little bit too close on themselves where, I like the line doing that the turn before.
Yeah, turn before would have locked it up, but we found a Spikefield hazard that did just enough. Yeah, so now we are going to go to game 3 here. And this is the first 2 games that have been pretty typical. The one weird thing was just Daniel Akos not having much to do with the time walk.
Yeah.
But that's why you see generally, like, you want Cruise to be the first L spell you cast.
Yes, 100%. Like, unless, it is straight lethal, unless that time walk is just straight up happening.
Unless you've had like a Phoenix heavy draw with your pieces, things like that.
Yeah, 100%.
But generally, we've seen the Ledger Shredders early into the pieces. Opponents, players have dealt with the opposing Shredders. I wonder if we'll see a game where like the pieces get countered early, and so both players kind of struggle to fill their graveyard. Those can be fun games as well. So that's the kind of game where Crackling Drake ends up being very good.
Yeah.
If both players use their counter spells early on pieces of the puzzle and delve cards, then you just go, okay, Crackling Drake, you have an Arclight Phoenix. Mine wins.
Yes.
Who has the biggest bird?
Mine's larger.
Yeah.
Mine's larger.
We do see a very strong opening from Danielakos. A couple lands, pieces of the puzzle, 2 pieces. Some an early consider, has an early dispute as well. That could either counter our pieces or Ledger Shredder, since we don't have a removal spell. And not a great opening hand from Delancinia. Gonna need this opt to find something nice. Oh, consider bins Arclight Phoenix.
Yes, I mean that's how we draw it up. Yeah. That's the equivalent of conniving with Shredder and discarding Grinding Station. You know, I mean, like it's just so good. So good.
This 3/2 haste flyer just came along for free over the course of the game.
Yeah, gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Okay, we found a pieces off the opt. That's great.
That is excellent. You got the lands here. You have a haul that is awkward, you know, but playing that I think is totally
we
reasonable.
had the haul last turn and played Island. That ends up being very punishing.
Yeah, maybe the hand reader is giving us some tricks, but yeah, that is definitely a mistake. There's no scenario where you're going to be able to be like, yeah, but actually, and honestly, that could be detrimental. It truly could.
Well, this Pierce could also be a little too aggressive. Now, if we tap out for pieces, there's a dispute on the other side, then they untap and pieces you.
Yeah.
And you don't really have any ability to wait.
Oh yeah, I'd be putting my my large amount of money on O'Daniels with how it looks like this. But here's the thing: if O'Daniels doesn't find land 4 to for sure back it up with dispute, they might not go for it in this phase. Because if I'm looking at my opponent right now, I'm like, okay, they have a very defensive draw. I should play accordingly.
Yeah,
you know,
they use that Spell Pierce really aggressively on chart.
Yeah.
They probably have
another one. That's exactly what I would be thinking. But since I drew the next land, I would play this, and I think if they went to counter it, I would still protect it. You know, just because there's no huge turn they could have next turn. Their huge turn is like at best bring back 2 Phoenixes, and that's not actually that big of a deal.
Completely agree. Instead, going to be able to resolve the pieces naturally, hold up dispute for the opposing pieces, and O'Danielakos looking in great shape to take this final game and punch a ticket into day 2.
Yep, we can maybe look at that little eyeball and see what the 5 cards are revealed. Can of course see the selection.
There's another.
There's options.
Yeah,
I think I'm snap putting. I was gonna say snap Spell Pierce, but we already have one. I still think I'm putting Spell Pierce.
I like Pierce Axe.
You like Pierce Axe?
Yeah, I just want to have potentially some way to put a Phoenix in the graveyard if I draw one, and some way to deal with a Shredder. I saw Crackling Drake in game 2, like a way to deal with a Drake. If
you have the dispute for Crackles here,
I just you got another pieces and a consider.
Yeah, looks like
you went with the other consider.
That's what I would have went is opt Pierce, but I think it's close. And I think there are scenarios where you don't take Axe and you lose because of it. This could be one of them. Probably not with the dispute, but there are scenarios that I take a bunch of blue cards and then they play something that all I need is one little red card and I'll be fine, and then you lose because of it. But that is the play they made is what I would have did. I think it's close though.
Definitely. Ooh, there's a Shredder. That's a great one.
That's a good one.
So, and
I almost would still, with perfect information, I would almost still rather pieces here.
Oh, here we'll see an Axe, probably discarding Iteration
or Steam Vents, but
you just need lands. You've got the Hall. Steam Vents is second red in case you draw Drake.
Yeah, Iteration. You're right. But I mean, the one play next turn that I love is Iteration double pieces. You fill that graveyard up huge. But man, this whole mana base was pretty awkward with that missed Hall. You kind of want 2 red-ish. Maybe not.
That could be an island in the hand.
Right exactly. Yep.
Looks like we discarded another Shredder to the Connive, opted into a Trespass. So yeah, everything coming together here for Danielakos. Gets to hold up Spell Pierce. As Spell Pierce consider pieces Trespass. That's a great hand. Great hand. And here's a Crackling Drake.
Okay.
Spell Pierce doesn't counter that one.
Yeah. Yeah, this could be exactly what you're saying. And honestly, the only bad result of this game is just proving you right here at some point. So this is the worst possible, I think, for all of us, but decides to go for this line anyways. I think I like this because if you go for Crackling Drake and that either gets axed or disputed, the game's basically over, especially if it gets disputed. Here, this is a much more anti-counterspell friendly draw here.
Yeah, and you'll still have the Drake for next turn. You could potentially find a counter spell to back it up. It's like a licensed hearse got discarded to the connive. Daniel Lakos deciding I don't even need that.
Yeah.
And I imagine that one of these is getting pierced. We can let the first one resolve and not give them the information that they're only getting one of them. And then counter the second one.
Well, there isn't any. I mean, am I losing my mind? But there's no mana on the stack, right? Or wait, yeah. They're double pieces. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what they're getting. We can open their eyeball a little bit.
Okay, they snap it off. Cruise. If we look at the top. Oh no.
Oh, whatever. There we go. They hit 4 cards, which is pretty impressive.
Okay. Well, Daniel Lakos deciding not to use the Spell Pierce.
Yeah, interesting. Saving it for that huge turn.
And now, Telechinia has 2 disputes, a Cruise, a Drake. They've got some things going on.
If Daniel had a untapped land, you had Galvanic plus Temporal all lined up, but doesn't have it. So I like this. We saw this from Gal Ducat here a couple rounds ago where it was like, pay 3, set up, play a tap land, go. I have 2 pieces of disruption. Good luck. And if not, I'm going to destroy you next turn. That's basically what this draw is saying.
And finds a dispute of his own. So now there's 2 counter spells on there's 1 counter spell on Telechinia's side.
Yeah.
So we start with an axe. That's pitching the Drake. So I'm not going to look like a genius.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Now there is an option.
I hate
here.
this play.
Yeah, you hate it. Now here is the option here. You can just double spell, get Shredder out of range here, and then you're just running the risk. Does my opponent have the double time walk?
But both iterations are in the graveyard, I think. So you don't have to worry about that.
True.
So you can't get to 6.
I like spell piercing first because once again, this is kind of a mirror of the Gal Ducat thing. This is exactly what he was doing. He's like first get your mana down. Now I'll opt. Now I'll discard another spell.
Discard the other opt.
Yeah, this was a great play.
I'm going to be on 6 mana. I can, do my double time walk thing. A 7th mana lets me hold up dispute with it. Instead, finds an axe off the connive. Decides to discard that. Oh no! Oh, it wasn't an axe. It was a Phoenix, I think. Can we pull up Daniel Lakos' graveyard?
And there is a Cruise. Not the biggest deal.
Oh, they found a Phoenix off the opt. Okay.
Oh, makes sense.
Oh, no, that got how did that get discarded? Because that axe was discarded to the connive. Then we opted. Now somehow a Phoenix is in the graveyard.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, we found another axe on. Maybe our hand cams are not 100% accurate.
Doesn't sound like it. Doesn't sound like our hand cams.
All
right, so there is a dispute here.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Okay, so it is kind of awkward. We don't have that extra land to go for Temporal plus Galvanic to guarantee it with a counterspell as well. So I'm wondering is there the other Galvanic in the yard? Because if so, this game is for sure done. In the bottom hand players.
Yeah, not for Daniel Lakos. Yeah. He only has the 1 in the graveyard.
Okay, only has the 1. So we're only going to get 1 turn here because of that dispute.
But you have a second trespass for next turn.
Yeah, which isn't that great. I mean, it's kind of the same scenario that Daniel was dealing with last time. Like, needs a Cruise.
Yeah. We're also we only have 2 Phoenixes in the yard. Like, this is not game-ending pressure. There's no haul on this side.
I'm saying what a better play might be this turn is to just Temporal and not have Galvanic and kill this and then have dispute up for that. And then next turn do that when you have Galvanic plus Temporal trespass,
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Do the 1 trespass with dispute up, kill the Phoenix so that you can get in. You cast the opt this turn, so that's 3 spells.
Yep.
Then next turn do the double time walk.
And then I think you win this. You win it for sure if you do that line.
Yeah.
For sure.
The big issue is that you clear the Phoenix away before the first attack. That's the biggest difference.
It is.
Now you're gonna let them trade, which they snap off, and now you need to somehow
draw like a Hall, or you need to draw like a Galvanic. Obviously,
no, we just need a land.
That's all we need.
Yeah, you impulse your own Arclight Phoenix, and then you trespass a Disputed Pay.
I think Cruz is probably going to help out too. Yeah.
Well, that's much better. Now, although now, we still have enough cards.
There's the Hall as well.
There's the Hall. Yeah,
that's game. Wow. Awesome back and forth. The advantage bar going crazy.
And there's iteration too.
Oh God. It's all there. Stop. He's already dead.
And it would have been really cool for Daniel Rakdos to draw the land there and have to do the really awkward play of dispute my own spell and pay, kill my own creature.
Yes.
They both come back, attack you for 6, take back extra turn, attack for 6 again.
God, honestly, people are like, mirror matches of some kind. The Izzet mirror is awesome.
Yeah.
The Breach mirror is awesome. Grixis Death Shadow mirrors used to be awesome. There's some mirrors that are really, really fun.
I played a really good Breach mirror in Columbus earlier this year.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Oh yeah. I bet you got really unlucky even though you got unplayed. That's probably how it is. Yeah. Yeah, that's all right. I got to enjoy a beverage across the street. So who's the real winner?
We're close to that bracket right now.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
So, just an activation of the Hall should get Daniel Rakdos into day 2 of this tournament, and they've got to be feeling pretty good. I think they were 1-2 after Legacy.
Wow.
And recovered with a 5-1 across the 2 formats that they're going to be playing tomorrow.
Impressive stuff here. Coming back to us on the booth, but yeah, you got to love it. And as far as the dynamics go of the way these tournaments are structured with 3 rounds, you either have to have that consistent 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, or you have to spike one of these formats, and like maybe have a little bit of leeway in other ones. So yeah, really, really cool stuff. Congrats to our players making it in so far. We're starting to fill out that top 12. We'll see. Adrian, we got any more players playing for these spots, or are we kind of lined up? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to do some math here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10. So there's got to be still some playing.
It looks like we are going to have 12 people at 18 match points or better, because we got 3 5-3s playing, and we have 1 6-2, presumably that was paired down to them. That's Anson. This is our lone 6-0 after the first 2 rounds. Is 0-2 in Pioneer, trying to play to stay in that bye bracket.
Oh, sure. I was going to say, yeah, they're locked. So all the 6-pointers that are locked, are we going to have 2 more 6-pointers throughout that, right?
I guess we could end up with 11 if Anson wins.
Right? Yes. Yep. Okay.
So it'll be whether Anson wins if we get a 12th person sneaking in at a lower match point.
Cool.
Total.
So yeah, we'll take a look at Anson, or we'll take a look at the other one if you can find it, Adrian, and we'll see. Skenaris just won.
Who did they beat?
Who did Skenaris beat? Kavesa.
Okay, that was our burn. Is that our Kavisa was our burn player?
I think so. Yep. So we got Modern? That person in. That was one of our Rakdos gamers.
Yeah. So it looks like Nathan Blackman is playing against Anson.
Yeah, it must be Nathan and Anson, right? Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Okay, let's check it out. Well, let's head into our final match.
And Nathan here playing for their tournament life. Anson playing for a bye tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And that is pretty important. That is definitely pretty important. So, all right, we got this available here. We'll see what game they're on. I would presume game 3. That would make sense. And the old Rakdos mirror to bring you home. Yeah, Anson, so far it looks like Anson wants to be staying in that winner's bracket.
Yeah.
This was our first player to be locking this up. And maybe not so much love for the Pioneer deck.
Now wants to get back to Modern, where they were 3-0 today. Get that bye, stay in that winner's bracket tomorrow, and wrap it up playing some Modern, at least until the finals. As is, I can say Happy Sandwich and Magic of Player 1 both locked for a bye, and Nakashima looks like at 7-2. And so if Anson loses this, our top 6-3, whoever's the best breakers in the 6-3 bracket, will be our 4th place player. Which you would think would be Anson with the 6-0 start.
Yeah,
So they might be locked for a bye regardless.
yeah, interesting. Yeah, so we do have our for sure top 3 that are locked, right?
Yeah, Happy Sandwich, Magical Player One, and Nakashima.
Pretty cool. Cool. All right, Happy Sandwich we know is on Hammer to start it off. And I kind of forgot the rest already, but you know what?
Yeah.
We'll be refreshed by the end of the day.
Looking at this game going on in front of us, though, Anson looks to be in complete control. No cards in hand for Nathan, and Anson has 4 creatures on the battlefield, including that Croxa that is going to end the game in a hurry.
No kidding here. And yeah, this buy is really important. Kind of a heartbreaker, you know, for Nathan with how it goes here. But you know, that's the nature of these kind of rounds. It's like if there's not that buy on the table, you know, maybe this matchup wouldn't be as important. But buys are so huge for pay jumps, for making sure you just have to win that one less. Ends up being a really big deal.
That it very much is. You got to win your matches.
All right, desperation here. I mean, to be fair, Anson is at 4. You know, I mean, Proxa with only 1 card though. I don't think there's much that deals 4. Man, I bet this was a wild game. I bet this was a game where Nathan was like wildly ahead to start, and then Anson kept slowly building up. But yeah, as it stands, congratulations to Anson. Probably almost assuredly locking up one of that top 4 places.
Yeah, they're going to be one of 4 players
Yep.
at 7 who are better here, and that means we're going to have 7 players at 6-3, and 1 person sneaking in.
Maybe. We don't. I think there's no sneak-ins. Yeah, I think this is just just 6 points. Yep. No, none of that. It is just you know, I think we're gonna restructure a little bit of how things work. 5th will probably be getting a bye. So it looked like Allen won their way into actually getting a bye next round or tomorrow to start it off.
That'll be huge for them. You know, these double elimination brackets, you have a little bit more leeway than the single elim, but every win you can get gets you closer and closer to the end of that bracket, and that really so there's sort of a you have and it's kind of like the Arena Open, right? You need to win n number of matches, and as soon as you lose k matches, you're out.
Yeah,
and so you just start a little bit closer when you have that bye, a little bit closer to that end mark to get into the finals.
I really want to see someone do the power play that like really love their Pioneer deck. Be like, I'll concede that first one. Get me down to the bracket. Give me to where
I don't even want to bother.
Yeah, all these Izzet Phoenix heroes who are Galdecott, Daniels, you know, coming in, be like, you know what? I don't want to play Modern. Get me back into Pioneer here. Play. So, all right. So I guess we can kind of announce it here. We got our top 4 locked in, our top 5 essentially with buys. Happy Sandwich, Magic Player One, Anson 95, Nakashima. We got Screwanus. That one we're kind of still wondering on.
I'm gonna call them SK.
You think that's a German name or is that Polish?
I would go for Polish based on the way their last name is spelled.
Oh my, okay. I'm getting a nickname. It's kind of a nickname, a Polish nickname for a Scrooge. So kind of a Scrooge McDuck kind of thing.
Okay.
And it would be our loose translation to
okay.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like it.
We're gonna call them Scrooge McDuck.
Okay, so that's kind of the players that are probably going to have that bye in the morning. Then we got Mental Misstep, Tuscanani, Galdecott, O'Daniels, Capricus. Dom Harvey made it in. Didn't he start 03?
Started 1-2.
1-2, yeah. And then it was
2-3 after round 5 because he defeated Kane Reinhardt in round 6 in the 2-3 bracket. So
with Amulet,
needed to win the last 4 at least, maybe won the last 5. Might have started 1-3. Unsure.
Unreal. Okay, so props to Dom making it in. And then Raging Machismo rounding out our top 12, playing for the big old bucks tomorrow. 10K to one of those players.
Yeah, that is a huge prize to play for. Yeah. All of them are very much in it. And you got to think, even players that had to crawl their way back from a hole was in Legacy. We're done with Legacy. Yes. So the players that crawled back and did really well in these last 2 formats got to feel a lot better. Whereas a player like Anson, who started off on that huge streak going 6-0, then stumbled a bit in the Pioneer rounds, probably isn't feeling as good about Pioneer, wants to keep winning in Modern tomorrow. But if they're taking an early loss, now your back is against the wall in a format that you're not very confident in.
I was going to say, what if there's a scenario of a player out there, the worst scenario there looking for is somebody who 3-0'd Legacy, bombed Modern, and then 3-0'd Pioneer. Those are the players we got to be worried about because they're starting with Modern, and if they get put to that losers bracket, they got to really just pull more than 3 wins out of their hat. That's for sure. So,
yeah, they got to pull a bunch there. So congratulations to all of our players in day 2. We're going to be starting tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Noon Eastern time. Yep, we're going to be starting at noon Eastern time.
Was 10.
Yeah, bringing you all the action here for this whole top 12. We're going to be at least following all the winners and then kind of peeking in on the Pioneer players. So a lot of Modern tomorrow, but we will be, as in between rounds, jumping around as we can only do in the Mana Trader series. So, all right, everyone, I want to thank you so much for watching. This was a lot of fun. We will be doing it all over again tomorrow, giving a ton of money away and, really hyping up this series. We're going to be doing again next year. If you are interested, please follow Mana Traders online. Follow Ross. Follow me. We'll be giving you updates on this series throughout the entire year. There'll be league qualifiers. There'll be the series, everything that you've seen in the Mana Traders series this year with some improvements going forward that we're really excited to share with you as well. So, all right, everyone. For Corey Baumeister, for Ross Merriam, we got Adrian in the background. We'll see you tomorrow.